Chapter 934. After knowing the method, Su Yun bade farewell to the old man of Dark Place. In order to use the immortal seeking sect to develop the true devil realm, Su Yun had been staying in the immortal seeking sect for this period of time. Originally, he had planned to leave everything to Octagon Aniseed, but Octagon Aniseed needed to integrate the true devil realm, and was already extremely busy. As the demon lord of the true devil sect, and with the inheritance of the ancient tomb great demon, Su Yun could only bite the bullet and deal with the matters here. But he could also use this opportunity to rescue his sister from the Supreme Sect. Now that the new Supreme Sect was a subsidiary sect of the Immortal Seeking Sect, saving Su Luluo was much easier than before. When Su Yun returned to the Immortal Seeking Sect, he immediately summoned Xiang Yang. In the main hall, Xiang Yang sat at the side, looking at Su Yun, who was slowly walking in. Vice Sect Leader Xiang, have you heard of the Dali Palace? Su Yun asked indifferently. Dali Palace? Xiang Yang was stunned. Exquisite Paradise's Great Ling Long Palace? Exquisite Paradise? Su Yun frowned. What? How many Ling Long palaces are there in the immortal world? Oh no. If Lord Demon Monarch is really asking about Exquisite Paradise, then it's most likely in Exquisite Paradise. But I wonder why Lord Demon Monarch is asking about this? I've heard that the Dali Palace has a treasure called the Exquisite Rainbow. Have you heard of it? Ling Long Kai? Xiang Yang's expression changed. That's the Ling Long Palace's most precious treasure. Sect guarding treasure? The Dali Palace is an immortal cultivation sect with a long history of more than 100,000 years. Its disciples are all over the immortal realm, and they communicate with many immortal cultivation sects. Its strength is very powerful. Because of the grace of Exquisite Paradise, the Dali Palace itself has unique resources to enjoy, and its development speed is very fast. It's not something that the Immortal Seeking Sect can compare with. Your Excellency Devil Monarch, to be frank, if Your Excellency Devil Monarch wants this treasure, I'm afraid it's harder than ascending to heaven. Hearing that, Su Yun's heart sank. Was he really that powerful? From the looks of it, it was not easy to obtain the Exquisite Rainbow. However, he would not give up just like that. After all, this was the only way to save his sister. He had to obtain the Exquisite Rainbow, but he could not be too hasty. The old man had said that he had to first open Su Luluo's heart, and then with the magic treasure, he would be able to completely remove the bewitching concept of the Supreme Divine Tao from Su Luluo's heart. And Su Luluo would also obtain the purest state of mind, which would be extremely beneficial to her. Although he could not be too hasty, Su Yun was still rather nervous in his heart. The terrifying thing about the Supreme Sect was not that it could easily bewitch people's hearts, but the backlash of the limitless profound Qi towards the spirit cultivator. With Su Luluo's methods, recruiting people to join the new Supreme Sect would not be difficult, but she still persistently recruited new members every day, and even came to the Immortal Seeking Sect time and time again to borrow people. There was probably only one reason every day: a large number of spirit cultivator would die from the backlash of the limitless profound Qi. Su Yun was very worried. If one day, Su Luluo also suffered such a backlash, what should he do? He had to deal with this matter first. Su Yun thought for a moment, then said to Xiang Yang, "Tell me everything you know about the Great Ling Long Palace." Xiang Yang's heart skipped a beat. Could it be that this guy wants to make a move on the Great Ling Long Palace? The Great Ling Long Palace was not the Immortal Seeking Sect. Relying on the previous method would definitely not work. If Su Yun were to send all the Devil Cultivator S to the Great Ling Long Palace, it would be equivalent to courting death. The Great Ling Long Palace was enough to take care of all these existences. However, Su Yun was unable to do it. Previously, when he was dealing with the Immortal Seeking Sect, he had already used the Demon God token twice, so he could only use it once more. If he were to bring the Devil Cultivator to the immortal world again, then he would not be able to return. I know what you're thinking. Don't worry, I won't act recklessly. Tell me everything you know about the Great Ling Long Palace. Su Yun insisted. His voice was calm and collected. Xiang Yang secretly swallowed his saliva. He thought that Su Yun did not understand the Great Ling Long Palace, which was why he said that, and immediately spoke. The Great Ling Long Palace is a rather famous sect in the immortal world. Although its strength is not the number one in the entire immortal world, it is still one of the top. The sect is strong and has a large scale. I'm afraid that even 10 immortal seeking sects cannot compare to the Great Ling Long Palace. The exquisite paradise of the Grand Ling Long Palace is one of the few blessed lands in the immortal world. Many sects in the immortal world would choose to establish their base near the blessed land. The resources in the blessed land are inexhaustible, allowing the sect to develop rapidly. The exquisite paradise of the Grand Ling Long Palace is rich in karma stones. These stones contain powerful immortal chi. After an immortal absorbs them, the immortal chi can be converted into immortal chi, allowing one's cultivation to soar by leaps and bounds. Apart from that, the karma stones can also be used to forge immortal equipment and concoct immortal pills. There are countless benefits. Although the blessed land only produces 100 karma stones every year, each karma stone can bring a large amount of immortal coins to the Grand Ling Long Palace, allowing the sect to develop rapidly. Immortal coins. Su Yun was startled. Is that the currency of the immortal world? Yes. Xiang Yang nodded his head, as though he had thought of something. He explained. Immortal coins and cultivation coins are similar in nature, but the power contained in immortal coins is even more abundant. One immortal coin is equivalent to 10 million cultivation coins. If it's a rich immortal, they will most likely use immortal coins to help themselves cultivate. Su Yun rolled his eyes. He already had a lot of wealth in Beiyang, but if he was in the immortal world, he would probably still be a poor ghost. It is said that the karma stones are the main refining materials for some special immortal equipment. The Great Ling Long Palace rarely sells out the karma stones, so there are very few karma stones circulating outside. In order to obtain the karma stones, many existences with extraordinary cultivation joined the Great Ling Long Palace, and because of that, the Great Ling Long Palace's scale and strength became bigger and bigger. Other than the karma stones, the Great Ling Long technique in the Great Ling Long Palace is also an extremely terrifying immortal technique. The Great Ling Long technique is a powerful mental technique that can easily see through the minds of others and understand their state of mind. As long as you are an enemy of someone who is proficient in the Great Ling Long technique, all of your plans and intentions will be discovered by the other party. It can be said that people who are proficient in the Great Ling Long technique have no way of fighting back. No matter what methods you have, the other party will know. I have also heard that the palace mistress of the Great Ling Long Palace can even learn the supreme divine abilities of those powerful immortals through the Great Ling Long technique. They can obtain all the information about the other party's mental cultivation method through reading their minds and use it to cultivate. With this immortal technique in hand, the Great Ling Long Palace will be able to stand tall in the immortal world without falling. Xiang Yang spoke with confidence and composure. When he spoke of the main points, his face would reveal shock from time to time. At that moment, Su Yun had long lowered his head and was silent. Great Ling Long technique, I never thought that there would be such a technique in this world. Although the grand exquisite art is powerful, it consumes a lot of immortal chi. Ordinary people of the grand exquisite palace won't use it, and the palace lord has also given a strict order that the disciples of the sect are not allowed to use this art casually, not to mention using it within the grand exquisite palace. Peeping into someone's mental state is a taboo, and this technique often annoys the immortals, bringing a lot of trouble to the grand exquisite palace. Legend has it that 3,000 years ago, an elder of the grand exquisite palace used this technique to peep into the immortal art of a powerful immortal. That immortal was so enraged that he actually joined forces with 3 other immortal sects to besiege the Grand Exquisite Palace. If it wasn't for the Palace Lord releasing the karmic stone and other rare treasures to settle the matter, I'm afraid that the Grand Exquisite Palace would have already been defeated by those 3 sections. Oh? There's such a thing? Su-yun was slightly surprised. That's only the bigger ones. The smaller ones are countless. The Dali Palace became famous because of the karmic fate stones, but they also became infamous because of the Dali technique. Xiangyang said. I understand. Su-yun took a deep breath, raised his hand and said, You can leave first. Yes. Xiangyang did not dare delay, and immediately cupped his fists and left. Once Xiangyang left, Su-yun scratched his chin and thought. To obtain the exquisite rainbow, it was obviously impossible to fight the Great Ling Long Palace head-on. The only way was to sneak into the Great Ling Long Palace to obtain it, but the people of the Great Ling Long Palace all knew the Great Ling Long technique, which was equivalent to reading minds, so it was not easy to sneak in. Although Xiangyang said that the Great Ling Long technique could not be used casually, it did not mean that it could not be used. However, he could not sneak in, and it was not realistic to forcefully fight, so what should he do? Su-yun's face was filled with worry. He was completely at a loss and did not know where to start. Your state of mind is in a mess. Just then, a voice suddenly sounded out in Su-yun's mind. Su-yun was shocked. He immediately looked around, but there was no one around. Only then did he react, and immediately took out the Limitless sword sheath. A white light leaked out from the sword sheath, and a beautiful young lady's figure appeared in front of him. Looking closely, it was Ling Qinyu, who he had not seen for a long time. Qinyu, long time no see, ha. Su-yun scratched the back of his head, feeling rather awkward. Ling Qinyu rolled her eyes at him, her face flushed red. It was obvious that the two of them were thinking about what happened in the ancient tomb. Speaking of which, Qinyu, what have you been doing in the sword sheath? Seeing that Ling Qinyu did not speak, Su-yun immediately changed the topic, to prevent the atmosphere from becoming awkward. Training. Ling Qinyu turned her neck to the side, not looking at Su-yun. At that time, I had some enlightenment, so I cultivated inside. Su-yun roughly sized up Ling Qinyu. Her cultivation had indeed improved greatly, but she was afraid that she could not even fight against the spirit sage, since she did not have as many fortuitous encounters as Su-yun. He felt that his body was a little restless. After devouring the soul of the sect leader of the one immortal sect, he believed that it would not be long before his cultivation would rise again. Speaking of which, where is this? Ling Qinyu looked around, and realized that the immortal qi was floating around, and the white jade bricks were extremely mystical, so she asked. Immortal world. Su-yun laughed. Immortal world? Ling Qinyu was shocked. Yes. Su-yun replied with a smile. He did not hide anything from Ling Qinyu, and told her everything that had happened. Chapter 935. While Ling Qinyu was listening, her expression was especially rich. Sometimes she was shocked, sometimes she was nervous, sometimes she couldn't help but cover her mouth and laugh, and sometimes she was extremely angry. When she heard that Su-yun had actually taken control of the half-immortal sect, the immortal seeking sect, she seemed to have been petrified, and was already filled with emotions. When she heard that Su-yun wanted to save his sister, Su-luluo, her expression became serious again. In that case, you want to save your sister and obtain that exquisite rainbow? Yes. Su-yun nodded. From the information that Xiangyang obtained, what kind of sect do you think the Great Ling Long Palace is? Very powerful, but even more terrifying. He took a deep breath. In this world, is there anything more terrifying than being able to peer into another person's mind? They can even know what you're thinking. Do you think you're still yourself? That's right. Ling Qinyu nodded her head. If that's the case, it's almost impossible for you to obtain the exquisite rainbow. If they secretly use the great exquisite technique on you, you will definitely be exposed, and the consequences will be extremely severe, so you cannot sneak into the great Linglong Palace, you have to think of another way. If I don't enter the Linglong Palace, how can I retrieve it? Su Yun said anxiously. Could it be that you want me to take something from the air and stand here to take the exquisite rainbow? Unexpectedly, after saying that, Ling Qingyu curled her lips. This kind of thing is not impossible. Su Yun was startled. He anxiously rushed over and pressed down on Ling Qingyu's shoulders and said anxiously, Qingyu, could it be that you have a way? Hurry up and tell me. Ling Qingyu was a little dumbstruck, looking at the big face in front of her. Her fair and delicate face immediately flushed red. She struggled a few times, turned her neck, and said in a mosquito-like voice, Quickly let go of me. Su Yun regained his senses. Only then did he realize that he had lost his composure. He immediately let go of his hands, scratched the back of his head, and said awkwardly, I'm sorry, I'm too anxious after all, she's my sister. I understand your feelings. Ling Qingyu's small face was still pink, her cherry lips parted slightly. The backlash effect of the limitless profound qi makes you feel that time is of the essence, but being anxious is not the way to solve the problem, you have to make a foolproof plan. Su Yun listened quietly. He felt that Ling Qingyu should have a way. But seeing Ling Qingyu pacing back and forth, she thought for a moment and said, First, you have to find out what the exquisite rainbow is. What's so important about this? Idiot, this is very important. Ling Qingyu rolled her eyes at him and said, If you don't know what kind of treasure the exquisite rainbow is, how are you going to determine its location? What if it had some taboos that you didn't know about, and an accident happened when you were retrieving the item? Do you know that once some treasures recognize an owner, others can't touch them, or else the treasures will self-destruct? So you have to find out if the exquisite Kai has this characteristic. I see. Secondly, if you want to completely control the Dali Linglong Palace, you must know yourself and your enemy. Only then can you emerge victorious. If you want to take something, you must find an opportunity. If you don't know anything about your enemy, how will you act? Thirdly, you lack an item. If you have this item, you'll be able to find an opportunity to obtain the exquisite rainbow. Item? What item? Su Yun quickly asked. A sword, the exploring cloud sword. Ling Qingyu smiled. It's inside the sword sheath. I'll bring you to retrieve it later. With your current strength, retrieving the sword won't take much effort. What's the use of this sword? This sword's killing power isn't considered strong, but it can easily detect an item from 1,000 li away. With the power of the sword, it can be retrieved. Of course, whether or not you can successfully retrieve the item depends on the user's method. It has extremely harsh requirements for spirit and spirit qi. If you don't want to enter the Dali Linglong Palace, you can borrow this item to retrieve the exquisite Kai. I never thought that there would be such a treasure. Su Yun was surprised and happy. This is just a method. It's hard to say whether or not it will succeed. Seeing that Su Yun was so happy, Ling Qingyu immediately said, I understand. No matter what, at least there's hope now. Su Yun laughed. In this period of time, I will personally go to the Dali Linglong Palace to investigate. I will also send people to help gather information. When the time is right, I will use the exploring cloud sword to retrieve the item. Follow me to retrieve the exploring cloud sword first. After you obtain the exploring cloud sword, you need time to grasp the sword nature of the sword. Alright, let's go now. Inside the Divine Cloud Immortal Palace, in the center of a huge flower bed, two graceful figures were quietly sitting cross-legged. Circles of light leaked out from the center of the figure. The two of them were Shangguan Qingqing and Su Qing. After returning from the kingdom of Ziyu, Shangguan Qingqing had been helping Su Qing resist the restlessness of the energy in her body. The ancestor power of the kingdom of Ziyu was extremely strong, and this power was like a flame, completely igniting Su Ching-er's special divine spirit physique. If the current Su Ching-er continued to cultivate, her cultivation would definitely soar, but if her cultivation increased too quickly, it would be easy for her to lose herself, so cultivating her mind was more important. In this period of time, she had already completely controlled the power of the ancestors of the kingdom of Ziyu. The current Su Ching-er's cultivation was no longer the same as before, but after the matter with the kingdom of Ziyu, the matter of her divine spirit body was known by others. Although Empress Dowager Lu was threatened by Su Yun and would not reveal this secret, no one knew if anyone else knew about it. No matter what, Su Ching-er's staying here was the safest. The light gradually dissipated. Su Ching-er opened her eyes and stood up. At the moment, she was full of energy and her face was glowing. She no longer looked like she was on the verge of death. Shangguan Qingqing, who was at the side, adjusted his breathing for a moment, then asked softly, "Ching-er, how do you feel?" "Thank you, Master Ancestor, Ching-er feels much better." Su Ching-er bowed and said with a smile, "You must now shift your focus to cultivating your mind. Do not deliberately pursue cultivation anymore, do you understand?" Shangguan Qingqing said. "Ching-er understands." Su Ching-er nodded his head, but a trace of bitterness surfaced on his face. "It's just that Master said the same thing. Ching-er has actually been cultivating his mind since a long time ago, but his cultivation would inadvertently increase, and by activating a little profound qi, he would be able to feel the changes in the spirit essences. Is this the power of a divine spirit body?" Shangguan Qingqing was also shocked. "Master Ancestor, this body. What exactly is going on?" Su Ching-er sighed. "The matter with the celestial nations seems to be caused by this body of mine, right? I almost killed Master. If not for this body of mine, how could such a thing happen? Master Ancestor, is there any way to get rid of this body of mine?" "You silly child, there are so many people who are envious of you, yet you want to get rid of this body." Shangguan Qingqing sighed. A look of helplessness surfaced on her pure face. "This is something destined by the heavens, you have to learn to accept it. The divine spirit body will not accompany you for your entire life, it will disappear in the future. In this period of time, you have to be careful, do not let others harm you." Hearing that, Su Ching-er was startled. "When will it disappear?" Shangguan Qingqing's face became solemn, and said softly, "When you recover all of your strength, it will disappear." "Recover all of my strength?" Su Ching-er's face was filled with confusion. "Master Ancestor, what do you mean? I should have told you before, right? The reason why you possess the divine spirit body is because you are the reincarnation of a saint, don't you know that? The reincarnation of a saint. This divine spirit body comes from your reincarnated soul. When your cultivation explodes to the point before your reincarnation, this body will disappear. Now, the reason why so many people want to steal your body is because they want to steal your previous life's cultivation, steal all of your previous life's talent, memories, karma, and so on. If they were to obtain all of this, they would definitely reach the heavens in a single step. So, you have to keep a low profile and cultivate and recover the strength of your previous life, understand? Su Ching-er was stunned. She felt that it was hard to digest everything. In truth, she was very curious who exactly she was, who her parents were, but to find out about all of this was extremely difficult. Master Ancestor, you mean to say that I was an immortal in my previous life? Immortal? Shangguan Qingqing was startled. She could not help but shake her head. It might be more than that, maybe you are an existence that surpasses immortals. Then what is it? God, she said softly. But just as she said that, Shangguan Qingqing suddenly turned her head and shouted towards the flower bed. Who? The plants around the flower bed started to move. Following that, a figure walked out in panic. This person was also a female. She was rather old, and was extremely beautiful. She was the divine cloud Immortal Palace's elder Yu. So it's Elder Yu, why are you eavesdropping on our conversation? Shangguan Qingcheng's face was filled with displeasure, and said in a low voice. Mistress, you did not mean to eavesdrop. I am just here to report to Mistress, and accidentally overheard some things. Mistress, rest assured, you will definitely keep my mouth shut. I will definitely not reveal any information. Yu said anxiously, her expression was anxious. Elder Yu, what did you hear? Shangguan Qingcheng said softly, her voice was cold. Her cultivation was not considered high, although Yu was just an elder, but compared to her, the difference was not too big, thus she was a little slow. Yu immediately waved her hands and said, I did not hear anything, I did not hear anything. Unexpectedly, Shangguan Qingcheng's face turned solemn as she said in an extremely serious tone, Elder Yu, this matter is of great importance. Once the news is leaked, the entire Divine Cloud Immortal Palace might be destroyed. So, for safety's sake, I have to imprison you. But, Mistress, Yu panicked. Ancestor, Elder Yu did not mean it, you are magnanimous, please let the elder go. Just then, Qing'er spoke, she said softly. Elder Yu is loyal to the Divine Cloud Immortal Palace, although she did not interact much with Qing'er, but she treats Qing'er extremely well. Qing'er believes that Elder Yu will not harm Qing'er, and even more so, will not harm the Immortal Palace. Hearing that, Yu's eyes revealed a look of gratitude. Qing'er, if this matter were to leak out, do you know what will happen? Ancestor, actually there are already many people who know about this matter, so what if Elder Yu is the only one? Why not choose to believe her this once? Qing'er smiled and said. Although Shangguan Qingcheng was cautious, she understood Yu. Hearing Qing'er's words, she thought for a moment, then nodded her head. All right, since you've said it like that, I'll listen to you. She turned her head and warned Yu. You have been in the Immortal Palace for a long time, I believe in your character, you must remember, this matter cannot be leaked out if not. The consequences will be unimaginable, understand? Understood. Yu understands. Yu nodded her head anxiously. Chapter 936. Say it, what do you have to report? Seeing that Yu Qingcheng had made her stand, Shangguan Qingcheng did not continue to warn her, and changed the topic. Yu bowed and said, It's like this, mistress, the rainbow jade crystals in our immortal palace have been used up, and we need to send people to collect another batch, if not the enchantments and array seals in the palace will not be able to operate normally, and many disciples will not be able to cultivate normally. Shangguan Qingcheng frowned slightly. Rainbow jade crystals? Qing'er was startled. Aren't there a lot of them? In this period of time, I've seen Master giving Qing'er the rainbow jade crystals to cultivate. Rainbow jade crystals are materials that contain powerful spirit energy. Qing'er, you don't know this, but the rainbow jade crystals that Mistress has bestowed to you are the only ones that our Divine Cloud Immortal Palace has, and the crystals that you have consumed in this period of time is equivalent to 10 years of our Immortal Palace's reserves. Yu sighed. Hearing that, Qing'er was dumbstruck. If you don't have it, just take it, don't worry, it's not something that's hard to obtain. Seeing the guilt on Qing'er's face, Shangguan Qingcheng immediately spoke. Yu, immediately bring a group of our sect's disciples to collect the rainbow jade crystals. The price of the rainbow jade crystals on the market is extremely high, we can only go to the place where they are produced. I know of a place that contains a large amount of rainbow jade crystals, but there are many spirit demons wreaking havoc. If we meet any spirit demons, we will have to fight. This sovereign will bestow you with protective treasures, don't worry. Shangguan Qingcheng said. Hearing that, Yu heaved a sigh of relief, she cupped her fists. If that's the case, Yu will definitely not let you down. You guys can set off now. Yes, mistress. Yu replied, then turned and left. At that moment, in the vast and mystical immortal realm, in a place that was filled with resplendent light crystals, Su Yun and Ling Qingyu sneaked into the group of crystal stones, and slowly moved inside. In the center of the crystals, a sparkling and translucent immortal beast that looked as though it was made out of crystals was comfortably lying inside, gnawing on the crystals beside it. This was a crystal-devouring beast that was unique to the immortal realm, and lived by eating crystals. The crystals contained a small amount of immortal chi, and the increase in cultivation for immortals was negligible, but it had a miraculous effect on them. The crystal-devouring beast lived in the crystals for many years, and because of their permanent residence, the crystals were nourished by the abundant spiritual chi. Thus the crystals would give birth to a large number of crystal beast flowers. Every single one of them was filled with dense immortal chi, and it was said that a crystal beast flower was worth 80 immortal coins, which was equivalent to 800 million cultivation coins. Of course, to immortals, crystal beast flowers were not rare items, but what people wanted the most was the crystal beast flower king that would occasionally appear in the crystal beast flowers. This kind of flower king was a top-grade medicinal ingredient for refining pills, and usually there would be one or more crystal-devouring beasts residing in the crystals, but in 10 of these crystals, there might not even be one crystal beast flower king. The crystal beast flower would only appear in 100 years, and the flower king would only appear once in 5,000 years, so one could imagine how rare it was. If they could obtain the flower king, they would be able to exchange for at least 9,000 immortal coins. And right in front of them was a flower king. Su Yun and Ling Qingyu's goal was to obtain the flower king. They did not need the flower king, it was just to train the exploring cloud sword's sword nature. The crystal-devouring beasts were immortal beasts, and had developed intelligence, so the crystal beast flowers were treasures to them, much less the crystal beast flower king. Very quickly, the two of them saw the crystal-devouring beasts that were sleeping in the distance. The crystal-devouring beast's entire body was like an ice sculpture. It was extremely beautiful, but the one that Su Yun and Ling Qingyu saw was swollen like a fat pig. Its head was huge and its body was round. Most of the crystal-devouring beasts had a long and sharp horn on its forehead, but this one was blunt and short, as though it was about to sink into its forehead. The surrounding crystals had been mostly eaten by it, and it was a complete mess. However, around its body there were blooming lotus-like things that looked like ice sculptures. These flowers were noble and elegant, dignified and beautiful. No matter how ugly the surrounding crystal-devouring beasts were, they were still able to use their own beauty to cover up the mess. They were crystal beast flowers. But what the two of them paid the most attention to was the biggest and most dazzling crystal beast flower king that was releasing white light. Their gazes were all focused on the flower, their eyes filled with passion. The crystal beast flower king was something that even immortals coveted. It was already very effective on spirit-profound immortals. If it was used on spirit sage cultivators, what kind of miraculous effect would it have? The crystal-devouring beasts had a special reaction towards the crystal beast flower, since the crystal beast flower was grown from their spirituality, and the crystal beast flower king was viewed as a treasure by them. If anyone were to take it, they would definitely be chased and killed by the crystal-devouring beast. And now, he wanted to quietly take away the crystal beast flower king. The exploring cloud sword's strength is not to use its sword nature to take things from a distance. Its strongest point is to be able to quietly break through enchantments, cut off all senses, and bring out the items without a sound. Now, the crystal beast flower king is your target. Go, Su Yun. Ling Qingyu clenched her fists and encouraged him. Su Yun nodded his head. He took a deep breath, holding on to the exploring cloud sword. He activated his chi and activated the sword nature of the exploring cloud sword. Circles of grayish-white light rippled on the blade of the sword. After a while, the light turned into ripples and floated on the blade of the sword. It was as if the ripples had come to life. Sometimes they stuck to the blade of the sword, and sometimes they swayed outward. It was extremely magical. It's about time. Prepare to take action yourself. Pay attention to your concentration. This requires a high level of control over your mind. Do your best. Ling Qingyu muttered, then transformed into a ray of white light and entered the sword sheath. Qingyu! Su Yun immediately called out, but Ling Qingyu, who was inside the sword sheath, did not care about him. Why did she suddenly return to the sword sheath? Forget it, who cares, let's take the crystal beast Flower King first. Su Yun turned his gaze, his expression was solemn, extremely serious. He stared at the crystal flower that was growing beside the crystal devouring beast, holding onto the ancient and slender sword tightly. He immediately activated his spirit chi, activating the sword nature. The surrounding ripples immediately transformed into a formless big hand, pouncing towards the crystal flower at an astonishing speed. There was no wind, no clouds, no ripples, no waves, no movement, no chi. Maybe even if one were to look carefully, they would not be able to sense the existence of the formless big hand. Su Yun's eyes opened wide. He could feel that the hand was about to reach the crystal beast Flower King. His heart was thumping hard. But just at the moment of imminent peril, the crystal beast Flower King suddenly made a smacking sound and swayed. Roar! The crystal devouring beast immediately woke up, releasing an angry roar. A circle of blue ripples immediately spread out with it as the center, instantly covering the entire group of crystals, and Su Yun was no exception. He was enveloped by the blue ripples, and a layer of crystals immediately formed around his legs. The crystal-devouring beast locked onto Su Yun's position. Its gem-like eyes immediately became orange-red. It growled and pounced towards Su Yun. It was extremely aggressive and terrifying. Su Yun's face turned pale white. He immediately struggled free from the crystal beneath his feet and ran outside with all his might. No wonder Ling Qingyu hid in the sword sheath. She already knew that Su Yun would not succeed the first time. You can't kill it, you still need to use it to practice later. Just then, Ling Qingyu's voice came out from the sword sheath. Su Yun's face was filled with vexation, but there was nothing he could do. He could only run with all his might. After going through half a month of torment, Su Yun finally quietly obtained the crystal beast Flower King. In training, he had eaten quite a bit of the crystal-devouring beast's hospitality. If not for the protection of the imperial battle armor, he might have already been lying in the immortal seeking sect to recuperate. After grasping the cloud exploring sword, Su Yun returned to the immortal seeking sect alone, and Ling Qingyu temporarily stayed in the sword sheath. Actually, there was one thing that made Su Yun feel strange. At that time, Ling Qingyu was an incomparably powerful existence to Su Yun, but according to what Ling Qingyu had said, before she became a sword spirit, although her cultivation was strong, it was clearly not comparable to the current Su Yun, and even Su Yun, who had just entered the ultimate martial world, would find it difficult to compare to her. However, ever since Su Yun stepped into the ultimate martial world, her cultivation speed did not slow down, but instead continued to rise. Compared to ordinary spirit cultivator, her cultivation speed was much faster. The reason why Su Yun was able to reach where he was today was because of the help of all sorts of strange people and fortuitous encounters, but Ling Qingyu did not. She did not even ask Su Yun for pills to assist her in her cultivation. Then how could she maintain such an efficient cultivation speed? Could it be that she was talented? Su Yun had always been curious about Ling Qingyu's identity, and she could even sense the existence of the ominous sword inside the sword sheath. All of this became a knot in Su Yun's heart, but he would not ask, nor would he think too deeply about it. He believed in Ling Qingyu, just like he believed in himself. After returning to the immortal seeking sect, Su Yun immediately summoned the few experts from the Devil Realm that he had sent to the Great Ling Long Palace to investigate. These people were the existences that he had sent to investigate the immortal seeking sect. Adding the 3 experts from the Octopus sect, there were a total of 5 of them. They were sent as disciples of the immortal seeking sect to investigate the Great Ling Long Palace, and because of Xiang Yang's help, it was not difficult for them to sneak into the Great Ling Long Palace. Su Yun gambled that the people of the immortal seeking sect would not dare to use the Great Ling Long technique on them. Although the immortal seeking sect was much weaker than the Great Ling Long Palace, the Great Ling Long Palace had caused a lot of trouble because of the Great Ling Long technique. So how could they add more trouble to themselves? The investigation was only temporary, adding that the immortal seeking sect was not strong. These people only reached the inner sect. The elders and the main hall of the palace did not even set foot in. They only managed to find out some basic information about the Great Ling Long Palace, and as for Ling Long Kai, they did not have any information at all. However, this trip was not without gains. Chapter 937. The Great Ling Long Palace will hold a karma gathering in 2 months to collect the karma stones produced by the exquisite paradise. This time, the gathering will be conducted according to merits and demerits. If there is a mistake, there will be punishment, and if there is merit, there will be a reward of karma stones. Other than that, the Great Ling Long Palace has invited several sect leaders to participate, and will give them karma stones to show their friendship. At that time, more than half of the disciples of the Great Ling Long Palace will gather at the sky-raising platform. The scene will be extremely lively, and this matter has already spread to a small portion of the people in the immortal world. The palace master and elders of the Great Ling Long Palace will all participate, and the gathering will last for 3 days. At that time, the outer enchantment of the Great Ling Long Palace will be strengthened, and the inner enchantment will be weakened appropriately. The few devil cultivators below spoke up one by one. Hearing that, Su Yun nodded his head. Previously, he had already found out about the basic information of the Great Ling Long Palace from the devil cultivators, and from the looks of it, the karma gathering would be a great opportunity for him. If he missed it, he would not have it again. You guys can leave first. Continue to keep an eye on the Great Ling Long Palace. If there is anything, tell me immediately. Try your best to gather information about the exquisite rainbow, understand? This subordinate understands. Everyone shouted. Yes. Su Yun nodded, and the devil cultivators planned to leave. Just then, Su Yun suddenly thought of something, and immediately said, "Wait a minute." All the devil cultivators stopped in their tracks, and bowed their heads and cupped their fists. "Master, what other orders do you have?" "Ugh, immediately send a letter to the new Supreme Sect, and tell the Holy Maiden of the Supreme Sect that Protector Bai Li of the Immortal Seeking Sect has invited her, and that she must come over." "Yes, sir." "Oh, right. Remember to tell her that Protector Bai Li is preparing to lend her a group of people to help her develop the Supreme Sect." "Yes, sir." The few devil cultivators nodded and left. The main hall regained its peace and quiet. Su Yun took a deep breath, lowered his head and thought, his face full of worry. "What is it? Are you worried that you can't steal the exquisite rainbow safely?" Seemingly sensing Su Yun's worry, a white light flew out from the sword sheath, and Ling Qingyu stood in front of Su Yun once again. "If the theft of the exquisite rainbow is discovered, I'm afraid it will implicate everyone. At that time, not to mention the Immortal Seeking Sect, even the true devil world will be implicated." Su Yun said, "You worry too much. If you don't do something, how will you know if you will succeed?" Ling Qingyu consoled him. Hearing that, Su Yun laughed. "Haha, actually I am not that worried. Even if I am discovered, there will not be any big problems after all. I will not enter the Great Ling Long Palace. If they discover that someone stole the Ling Long Kai, the first thing they will do is seal the Great Ling Long Palace, and then capture the thief from the inside. No matter how they capture him, they will not be able to capture him outside. Why should I worry?" "Then why are you like this?" Ling Qingyu did not understand. Su Yun's smile froze for a moment, his face revealing a thick sense of helplessness and bitterness. "If this operation is successful, then I will have to start treating Luluo, but before that, I must open Luluo's heart. Right now, she is almost equivalent to sealing off the entire world, and other than the Supreme Divine Tao, she is not interested in anything else. If she is still like this, then even if she has Linglong Kai, it will be useless. I must let her accept this world, and accept Linglong Kai. So that's how it is. But you said it so easily. If she could do all of this easily, then why would she need Linglong Kai? I'm afraid that at that time, she would have long since escaped the bewitchment of the Supreme Divine Tao, right? That's a complete acceptance. I don't need to do that, and it's probably very difficult for me to do it. What I need to do is to let her subconsciously do it. Su Yun said with a serious face. I believe that the human heart is the strongest thing in this world. Although this Supreme Divine Tao can bewitch a person's mind, it is only bewitchment and cannot be completely replaced. If it is only bewitchment, then there must be a way. He did not believe that once a person escaped into the Supreme Divine Tao, they would never be able to escape again. Could the Supreme Divine Tao really be that powerful? Su Yun did not believe it. Then what do you plan to do? Tell her that you are her brother and make her listen to you obediently? Ling Qingyu hugged her breasts and snorted. Stop joking, I didn't tell her that I'm her brother, otherwise the situation would be troublesome. Su Yun laughed and said helplessly, Let's get in touch with her first. I have already sent someone to inform her. With her speed, I believe she will arrive soon. Ling Qingyu curled her lips and did not say anything else. After a while, a disciple of the true devil sect walked in quickly, cupped his fists and said, Master, the Holy Maiden and her followers have arrived at the Immortal Seeking sect. Do you want to summon them? No need, I'll go out myself. Su Yun stood up and walked straight out. Seeing that, Ling Qingyu, who was behind him, turned into a ray of white light and entered the sword sheath. Su Luluo and the rest were waiting in a corridor outside the main hall. Seeing Su Yun walking over, Su Luluo only nodded his head symbolically and said indifferently, Protector Bai. Hee, Lord Holy Maiden, you're finally here. One day without seeing you feels like 3 years have passed. I've really missed you. Su Yun's bitter face immediately changed, and was replaced with a bright smile, looking especially amiable. However, Su Luluo was not interested in it at all, and only said indifferently, Protector Bai, didn't you say that you can lend me a group of Immortal Seeking Sect's disciples to help me develop the Supreme Sect? Hearing this news, Luluo specially put down the things at hand and rushed here at top speed. I hope that Protector Bai will not waste our precious time and quickly settle this matter. Hey, about this, I have to wait a little longer. After all, selecting disciples takes time. I can't just send a group of disciples over, right? Some of the disciples are in charge of the matters in the pavilion. If they leave, the position will be vacant, and it will easily cause chaos in the sect. Su Yun pretended to be in a difficult position. With Su Luluo's personality, if Su Yun had only summoned her alone, she would definitely not have come. So he used the excuse of borrowing someone to trick her over. Then I'll come back in a few days. Goodbye. Su Luluo turned and prepared to leave. Halt! Su Yun shouted. Protector Bai, is there anything else? Su Luluo stopped, but did not turn his head. But Su Yun's mouth raised into a cruel smile and said softly, Lord Holy Maiden, are you going to leave just like that? If you want to borrow people, if you don't show some sincerity, how can I lend them to you? Su Luluo was silent for a moment, then opened her pink lips. Protector Bai, do you have anything to say to Luluo? Obviously, she could hear the meaning behind Su Yun's words. It's not anything important, I just want to tell you, it's not wrong for you to develop the Supreme Sect, but I hope you don't get it wrong. The Immortal Seeking Sect is the Immortal Seeking Sect, the Supreme Sect is the Supreme Sect. You can ask for people from the Immortal Seeking Sect, but you won't take them for free every time. If you want to borrow people this time, if you don't show some sincerity, I believe that you won't be able to get a single person in the future. What does Protector Bai want Luluo to do? She still had that indifferent attitude. The request is not high. Before that group of people is gathered, you can stay in the Immortal Seeking Sect for this period of time. My time is tight, I'm afraid I can't stay here for too long. Luluo has already understood Protector Bai's good intentions, but let's just forget about this matter. Hee, are you busy? Then during this period of time, can you recruit 10,000 immortals to join the Supreme Sect? Su Yun chuckled. Hearing that, Su Luluo frowned. She was probably shocked by Su Yun's number. In the past, when she borrowed people from the Immortal Seeking Sect, she would only borrow 1,000 people each time, but she never thought that this time, Protector Bai would actually open his mouth and ask for 10,000 people. Protector Bai is lending so many people to Luluo, I wonder if the Sect Master agrees? Sect Master and Vice Sect Master have both agreed. No matter what, the relationship between the Supreme Sect and the Immortal Seeking Sect is still very deep. We will help if we can. If the Holy Maiden is really impatient and is in a hurry to return, then we can only give up on this matter. Su Yun shrugged his shoulders and said. Su Luluo was silent. Su Yun looked at her quietly, the corner of his mouth raised into a cynical smile. After a long while, Su Luluo finally nodded his head and said indifferently, Since that's the case, then Luluo will follow your orders. During this period of time, I will stay in the Immortal Seeking Sect. I believe you will like it here. Su Yun laughed. Done. If Su Luluo was willing to stay, he would have enough opportunities to get close to her. But Su Yun was actually still faintly worried. This girl's methods were powerful. Don't let the people here enter the Supreme Sect. If they were to trick a devil cultivator, then something big would happen. He had to be careful and understand Su Luluo first. Nothing could be absolute. The invincibility that people said was only because they did not discover its weakness, and the incompetence that people said was only because they did not discover its strength. Just like the Imperial Battle Robes, anyone who was not familiar with the Imperial Battle Robes, when facing Su Yun, would think that Su Yun was an invincible existence. It was only until the use of spirit techniques that they found a breakthrough and found a way to restrain Su Yun. And the so-called Supreme Divine Tao was the same. There must be something that could restrain the Supreme Divine Tao. It was impossible for it to perfectly deceive a person's heart. There must be a flaw. Then, I will have to trouble Protector Bai to arrange a place for Luluo to stay. Supreme Sect is quite a distance away from here, and I feel tired from the journey. Luluo wants to rest. Just then, Su Luluo spoke again. If Su Luluo was allowed to go just like that, then wouldn't it be meaningless for Su Yun to keep Su Luluo in the Immortal Seeking Sect? Oh, I'm not busy for now. Holy Maiden, do you have time to accompany me to a place? Just then, Su Yun laughed. Where? Su Luluo asked indifferently. Just follow me, he said with a smile, and reminded his attendants not to follow him before walking out. Su Luluo hesitated for a moment, but in the end, he still followed. Chapter 938. Inside a cave that was glowing with a green light, a dozen or so female disciples dressed in divine cloud immortal palace clothes walked in step by step. They carried a basket on their backs, talking and laughing at the same time. In the terrifying atmosphere, they seemed extremely relaxed. The leader was the Divine Cloud Immortal Palace's elder Yu. Her expression was solemn. Holding onto a silver staff, she looked around with extreme concentration. All of you, focus. It is said that a group of spirit demon came here not long ago. Their demonic energy is dense, and have already harmed many spirit cultivator. This time we are here to collect rainbow jade crystals. These crystals are considered treasures to the spirit demon. If they sense us, they will definitely fight with us. In order to avoid trouble, we need to act quickly, so, all of you, be more serious. Just then, Yu shouted. Hearing that, the disciples immediately shut their mouth. Seeing that, Yu gave up. The group of people continued to move forward, but as they went deeper, the green light in the cave became denser, and the demonic chi in the air became denser, causing everyone to frown, feeling that something was amiss. The demonic chi is so dense, but I can't see a single spirit demon. I'm afraid that the other party has already sensed our existence and intentionally hid themselves. Everyone be careful. Yu said. Yes, Elder. The disciple shouted. However, after taking a few steps forward, a bright light suddenly entered everyone's eyes. All of the disciples' gazes were immediately attracted by the light. When they got closer, they saw that not far away, there was a large number of crystal stones that were glowing. These crystal stones were like fruits that grew on the ground, covering the entire path in front of them. At a glance, it was extremely dazzling, as though it was the path of a god. It's a rainbow jade crystal. There's actually so many of them. This is great. All of the disciples were overjoyed. Quickly collect these crystal stones. Move faster. Yu shouted anxiously. Hearing that, all of the disciples immediately moved. Everyone split up to collect, leaving only a few people at the front to collect, while the rest headed deeper into the cave. What was surprising was that the crystal stones at the back were densely packed, like sesame seeds squeezed together. They were uncountable. This amount is enough for our sect to use for 30 years. Yu said happily. She had never seen so many rainbow jade crystals before. What kind of blessed land was this, to be able to produce so many crystals that they had yet to be picked? Ah! Right at this moment, a panicked voice sounded out. Yu's nerves tightened. She looked towards the direction of the voice and saw the disciples, who were picking the rainbow jade crystals, looking at their palms in panic. Their palms were now dark green. The colorful jade crystals that they had taken off from the ground were directly vaporized and turned into streams of dark green gas. These gas seeped into their palms and quickly spread through their entire bodies. In the blink of an eye, all the disciples fell to the ground. Not good! Yu's expression changed. She immediately knew that her group had fallen into a trap. She quickly rushed over to save these disciples. But at this moment, a sinister laughter suddenly came from inside the cave. Ha 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 ha! I didn't expect there to be such stupid people. These idiots are going to be my meal today, ha 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 ha! Big brother, you have to share some with me. I haven't eaten meat for so many days. I'm starving to death. That's right, big brother. There are so many fat sheep this time, it's enough for us to share. Don't worry. Everyone will be able to eat their fill today. After the laughter faded, a few ferocious-looking existences walked out from the depths of the cave. These people were all demons with human bodies and beast heads. They were especially terrifying. Seeing these existences, Yu's expression immediately turned ugly. She could not sense the cultivation of these people. It was enough to see that these fellows' strength was above her. If it was only one or two, she might be able to hold them back. But there were so many people in front of her, she was afraid that she would not be able to hold them back. Today, she would have to give up her life here. Yu took a deep breath. A cold light flashed in her eyes. There's still one who didn't fall into the trap? What? There are so many colorful jade crystals on the ground. Don't you want them? A snake-headed guy glanced at Yu and said with a deep smile. Audacious demon, do you know who we are? Quickly scram, or else I'll teach you a lesson. Yu clenched her teeth and shouted angrily. Unexpectedly, when she said this, the demons laughed loudly. You really don't know life from death. You're already at death's door and you're still so stubborn. Big brother, don't talk nonsense. I'm going to collect the goods. I'm starving to death. A leopard head guy said impatiently. He licked his sharp teeth and walked towards the poisoned disciples of the divine cloud immortal palace. Seeing this, Yu could not hold it in anymore. She raised her sword and rushed forward. Damn demon, die! The sword tip whistled, as if it had the determination to die. Seeing this, the few demons laughed even more happily. Ha 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 ha! Are there so many idiots in this world? You really overestimate yourself. Leopard head, don't kill them. You can play with them. The rest of the demons stood at a distance as if they were watching a show. Their faces were filled with amusement. Unexpectedly, the sword in Yu Yu's hand suddenly exploded. The broken pieces turned into thousands of cold needles and shot towards the demons. The demons were caught off guard. One by one, they were pierced by the cold needles and fell to the ground. It was hard for them to get up. A thin layer of frost actually formed on their bodies. So Yu Yu's impulsiveness was all in act. When the demons lowered their guard, it gave her the chance to sneak and attack. She quickly rushed over and helped the disciples who had fallen to the ground up. She hurriedly took out some pills from her storage ring and stuffed them into their mouth. After the pills entered their stomachs, the disciples finally regained consciousness. They struggled to stand up. Their faces were filled with worry and their auras were weak. It was obvious that the pills could only temporarily slow down the injuries in their bodies and could not completely heal them. Go! Quickly go! Yu Yu did not dare to delay. She pulled the disciples and ran out of the cave. Although the disciples were weak, they knew the current situation. How would they dare to stay? All of them clenched their teeth and forced themselves to run away. But they were poisoned and their speed was too slow. Yu Yu turned her head to look at the demons who were poisoned. She saw that they were forcefully circulating their demonic power to melt the frost on their bodies. Not long later, they would recover. It was not a good idea to continue like this. Yu Yu immediately took out her sect badge and sent out a signal. She requested for reinforcements from the Divine Cloud Immortal Palace. There was quite a distance from here to the Immortal Palace. It would take at least an hour for them to arrive. From the looks of it, these people would not be able to escape from the demons' palms. There must be someone to bring up the rear. Otherwise, they would be completely annihilated. Yu Yu's face congealed. She stopped in her tracks and shouted at the injured disciples, "All of you go first. Quickly return to the Immortal Palace." The disciples were stunned. Elder, quickly go," Yu Yu said angrily. She took out a treasure from her storage ring and rushed towards the demons without looking back. The demons had not completely broken free from the frost. She still had a chance. Maybe she could even suppress them. The other disciples were dumbfounded. When they saw Yu Yu's actions, every single one of their hearts were filled with pain and sorrow. However, reality was so cruel. They, who were poisoned, had long since lost their ability to fight. If they didn't leave now, they would only lose their lives in vain. However, Yu Yu would not be able to return this time. The disciples left the cave and rushed towards the Divine Cloud Immortal Palace. Along the way, there were many people who fainted from the poison. But they could not care about that now. The remaining people continued to run. Only by finding the people from the Immortal Palace could they live. Not long later, there were only 5 people left rushing towards the Divine Cloud Immortal Palace. They did not know if the 5 of them would be able to hold on until they reached the Divine Cloud Immortal Palace. They did not dare to activate their spirit chi. If they did, the poison in their bodies would act up even faster. The poison seemed to be specially prepared for spirit cultivators. Just as everyone was in despair, the sound of something tearing through the air came out from the distance. Everyone raised their heads to look. They saw countless of Divine Cloud Immortal Palace people rushing over. Leading them was Shangguan Qingqing. "It's the mistress. The mistress is here. The mistress is here. That's great. The mistress is here. We're saved." Everyone seemed to have been saved from death's door. They cried tears of joy and used their last bit of strength to shout out. The Divine Cloud Immortal Palace people in the sky noticed the disciples. They all flew down and landed in front of them. What happened? Shangguan Qingqing stared at the disciples and asked. Reporting to the mistress, Elder Yu Yu was ordered to bring us to the nameless cave ahead to collect the rainbow jade crystals, but who knew that these were not crystals, but a trap set by the spirit demon people. They used this to lure the spirit cultivators over, so that they could prey on them. We did not investigate and fell into their trap, and now we are all poisoned. Mistress, Elder Yu Yu is bringing up the rear for us. He is blocking the spirit demon people alone. Quickly go and save her. If we are late, we will be finished. The disciples were crying and shouting. The scene was extremely chaotic. Although they did not speak clearly, Shangguan Qingqing already knew what they meant. Her face darkened, she turned her head and bellowed, "All of you, quickly bring them down to treat their injuries. The rest of you, follow me. Quick!" With that said, Shangguan Qingqing rushed into the distance. Along the way, all the disciples were saved. However, some of them were poisoned too deeply. Even if they were saved, their cultivation base would still be damaged. However, Shangguan Qingqing didn't care about this at all. The only thing she cared about was Yu Yu, who was still trapped in the cave. As an elder of the Divine Cloud Immortal Palace, Yu Yu was extremely important. Nothing could happen to her. Furthermore, she was carrying out a mission for the sect. How could she let anything happen to her? The group of people moved as fast as lightning and finally reached the interior of the cave. Then, a terrifying stench of blood wafted out from the inside of the cave. Not good. Shangguan Qingqing cried out in alarm and rushed in. But the scene in front of her caused her to be stunned. Chapter 939. Yu Yu was already dead and could not be more dead. A few demons had dismembered her body into 8 pieces and were currently crazily gnawing on them. One of the demons carried her corpse and pierced his sinister claws into her abdomen, digging out her internal organs and eating them. All of them were eating with relish. The scene was too horrible to look at, it was like hell. The people from the Divine Cloud Immortal Palace were shocked and furious. They could not believe what they were seeing. "Haha, spirit cultivator's meat is truly delicious, haha." One of the spirit demon beings seemed to have finished eating. He stood up and wiped the blood from his mouth. But at that moment, he also saw the group of uninvited guests walking into the cave. "Who are you people?" the spirit demon being exclaimed. Hearing that, the other spirit demon beings immediately stood up and looked at the cave entrance. Shangguan Qingqing's face was gloomy and cold. Her gaze swept across the tattered clothes on the ground, her exquisite hands clenching tightly. "Elder Yu Yu! Elder Yu Yu! It's all my fault," she muttered softly, her eyes suffused with a trace of light. It was unknown if it was an ominous glint or tears. She stared at the spirit demon beings and said coldly, "Let me ask you, where is Elder Yu Yu's soul?" "Soul? Heh, it was eaten by our big brother, I say. Who are you people who do not know life from death? You dare to come here? Are you here to deliver food to this lord? Just nice, this lord is not full yet. Hee hee, all of you have soft skin and tender flesh. It will definitely be more delicious to eat later. Brothers, attack!" The spirit demon beings shouted, and immediately rushed over. Shangguan Qingqing's face was extremely cold. She waved her hand and bellowed, "Kill, kill them all!" Yes. The elites of the Divine Cloud Immortal Palace shouted. All of them were filled with rage, and rushed towards the spirit demon beings. These elites were not people that the ordinary disciples could compare to. The moment they made their moves, they were all killing moves. Although the spirit demon beings were arrogant, they could not handle the numbers, and very quickly, the spirit demon beings were drowned by the crowd. Shangguan Qingqing could not even be bothered to look at the spirit demon beings. She stepped forward and rushed inside like a gust of wind. However, it was completely empty inside, with only the dense demonic aura still rippling in the air. She glanced around and immediately turned around and rushed towards the entrance of the cave. When she saw that there was still a demon that was not killed by the Divine Cloud Immortal Palace's people, she immediately shouted, "Leave this one alive, I want to interrogate him." "Yes, Palace Lord," the elites shouted. They only broke the demon's 4 limbs before stopping. The demon's 4 limbs were all broken. He fell to the ground and could no longer move. His dark green eyes were filled with despair and fear as he looked around. Shangguan Qingqing walked over and said in a low voice, "If you answer my questions properly, I won't kill you." "You liar!" The demon widened his eyes as he looked at Shangguan Qingqing. His breathing became hurried. "You humans are extremely cunning. How can I trust you? So you mean, you want to die a miserable death?" Shangguan Qingqing's voice gradually turned cold. The elite swords at the side immediately moved towards him. The ruthless light on the swords seemed to be able to pierce through his body. The demon was so scared that his whole body actually started to tremble. His demonic aura became chaotic. He quickly shouted, Don't kill me, don't kill me! If you don't want to die, then answer my questions properly," Shangguan Qingqing said in a low voice. I'll tell you everything." The demon lowered his head and became terrified. It was unknown if he was just being stubborn. However, Shangguan Qingqing was too lazy to care about this. She directly asked, "Where did you guys come from?" We are demons from the demon realm. We were sent by the demon realm's demon emperor to guard this place." "Sent to guard this place? What are you guarding here for?" Shangguan Qingqing snorted. "What? The demon emperor still wants to attack this place?" No, because there is an entrance that leads to the demon realm. So we were sent to guard this place." "Entrance?" Shangguan Qingqing frowned. "Where is the entrance?" "It's just inside the cave," the demon said weakly. The wounds on his body had almost drained all of his demonic blood. Shangguan Qingqing turned her head and looked into the depths of the cave with a grave expression. The elite at the side said respectfully, "Mistress, have you found Elder Yu Yu's soul? I'm afraid that he has already met with misfortune." Shangguan Qingqing shook her head. "When I rushed inside, the demonic aura inside was very chaotic. I'm afraid that person sensed our arrival and escaped to the demon realm. If we want to chase after him, it would be like searching for a needle in a haystack. These people are all the demon emperor's men. A small demon realm. What does my divine cloud immortal palace have to fear? Mistress, why don't we send people to the demon realm and find the demon emperor? Let him give us an explanation. Otherwise, Elder Yu will not be able to rest in peace. We must take revenge for Elder Yu," everyone said excitedly. Seeing that, Shangguan Qingqing was startled for a moment. She then sighed and nodded her head. "Don't worry, I will arrange for people to go to the demon realm. No matter what, the demon emperor has to give me an answer. Otherwise, my divine cloud immortal palace will not let this matter rest. Bring the spirit demon back first and keep a close watch on him. Wait for news from the demon emperor." "Yes." Everyone replied and left the cave. Even if the disciples did not say anything, Shangguan Qingqing would not let the matter rest. Because she did not know if Yu Yu's soul still existed. If the spirit demon had not eaten him, wouldn't it be possible to get him back? On the second day, a group of envoys from the Divine Cloud Immortal Palace set off from the cave and entered the demon realm, heading straight for the Demon Emperor Palace. After a few days, they met with the Demon Emperor. After knowing about it, the Demon Emperor's face became extremely ugly. The Divine Cloud Immortal Palace was located in the Sky Martial Continent. Even 10 Divine Cloud Immortal Palaces could not compare to the Demon Realm. However, even if the Demon Emperor had 10 guts, he would not dare to provoke the Divine Cloud Immortal Palace. Why? Because it was said that the Divine Cloud Immortal Palace had a close relationship with the powerful existences of the ultimate martial world and even the celestial world. How could a small demon realm dare to provoke them? Even the true demon realm would have to think twice, right? The Demon Emperor was naturally enraged. He immediately gave the order to capture the snake-headed man who had devoured Yu Yu's soul. Who would have thought that a crafty rabbit would have 3 burrows? The snake-headed man had actually received the news and escaped from the demon realm. Regarding this, the Demon Emperor could not explain to the Divine Cloud Immortal Palace. Helpless, he could only compensate with some pills and treasures, hoping to appease the Divine Cloud Immortal Palace's anger. Shangguan Qingqing was not a petty person. The Demon Emperor would not offend the Divine Cloud Immortal Palace for a spirit demon. On the other hand, the spirit demon's methods were not bad. To actually cause the death of an elder, it was most likely that his escape was not a spur-of-the-moment idea, but had long been prepared. The matter had come to an end. After the divine cloud immortal palace paid their respects to Yu, they returned to their usual peace. At the same time, in a certain place in the demon realm, on a gigantic mountain that looked like a skeleton, a figure was fleeing in panic. This person had the head of a snake and the body of a human. He had a hideous appearance, but at this moment, he seemed to be frightened and frantically ran forward. The snake-headed man was obviously unable to endure the profound chi he had been using along the way. He finally stopped and lay on the ground, gasping for breath. Looking behind him and seeing that no one was chasing after him, his nervous expression also relaxed. F***ck, luckily I am smart. I knew that something was wrong and immediately escaped. Otherwise, I would have died without a burial place. The snake-headed man sat up and flicked his tongue. The strange eyes of the snake looked around. If a snake wanted to escape, it was naturally very easy. However, the snake-headed man was not surprised by his situation. After devouring that woman's soul, he knew that he was in big trouble. Oh? You can actually escape here, powerful. But what's the use of this? You are still in the demon realm. You are still in the hands of the demon emperor. At this moment, an unruly voice came from the side. The snake-headed man was so frightened that his entire body trembled. He immediately stood up and retreated a few steps, only to see that behind the stone in front of him, a pitch-black figure had unknowingly walked out. This person was a scorpion beast with a pair of dark green eyes that were abnormally cold. However, his voice was filled with a deep sense of laughter. "It's you, poison scorpion!" The snake-headed man trembled for a moment before saying, "Obediently follow me back to see the demon emperor. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite." Poison Scorpion laughed. "No. If I go back, I will lose my life. The demon emperor will not let me go. He will definitely hand me over to the people of the divine cloud immortal palace." The snake-headed man shouted in panic. Aren't you asking for it? Of all people to eat, you chose to eat the people of the divine cloud immortal palace. You really know how to seek death. How would I know that person is from the divine cloud immortal palace? Then you won't leave. Poison Scorpion chuckled. With a shake of his hands, the hands that were originally human suddenly turned into two large and powerful pincers. At this moment, the snake-headed man was already exhausted. It was impossible for him to be Poison Scorpion's opponent. If they were to fight, the outcome would be clear. Don't attack, Poison Scorpion. If you don't kill me, I can bring you endless wealth and let you ascend to the heavens in one step." At this time, the snake-headed man shouted in panic. Poison Scorpion heard and looked at it with interest. "Wealth? What wealth? Tell me." "It's a secret," the snake-headed man said softly. "I am preparing to go to the true demon realm and tell this secret to the almighty beings of the true demon realm in exchange for their rewards. Can you imagine how good the rewards of the almighty beings of the true demon realm are? It is enough for us to soar to the top. At that time, a small demon emperor, what do we have to be afraid of? Do you really think the demon realm is your home? You can go whenever you want? Furthermore, will you be able to live if you go? Are we so weak? If you don't gamble, how will you know the result?" The snake-headed man's expression became serious. Poison Scorpion was silent. After a long time, it spoke. "How to go to the true demon realm? I know of a crevice. Smelly snake, if you dare to lie to me, I guarantee that your soul will be crushed to pieces by my pincers." "How would I dare to lie to you? The demon emperor is not ready to catch me yet. I am going to the true demon realm. I cannot stay in this small place. Otherwise, how can I escape so easily? That's true. I have had enough of this broken place." poisoned scorpion waved his hand and shouted, "Lead the way, hurry up!" Chapter 940. Su Yun led Su Luluo to the garden on the right side of the immortal seeking sect. Inside the garden, there were a large number of rare plants, and to the immortal seeking sect, it could be considered a treasure land. The exotic flowers and grasses here were colorful and extremely beautiful. It could be considered a beautiful scenery. Su Yun stood in the pavilion in the center of the garden, looking at the beautiful scenery around him. Su Luluo stood at the side and looked at her quietly. There was not much luster in her eyes, nor was there much emotion, as though she was looking at a piece of wood. "Look at the scenery around us." Su Yun took a deep breath and said with a smile, "Did Protector Bai bring Luluo here just to see the scenery here?" Su Luluo said indifferently, "You don't like the scenery here?" In Liulua's opinion, the scenery here is not good. The truly beautiful scenery is the scenery that you can admire when you reach the peak of the Supreme Divine Tao. That kind of scenery does not exist in this world. Hee, how do you know that the scenery is beautiful? You've seen it before? I can imagine it. Su Luluo closed her eyes, as though she wanted to immerse herself in her own thoughts, immersing herself in the fantasy of the Supreme Divine Tao. But right at this moment, a low shout suddenly sounded in her ears. "Think my ass." Su Luluo opened his eyes, only to see a trace of anger on Su Yun's face. "Today, I asked you to come here to let you see the scenery here. I don't care what kind of scenery Supreme Divine Tao has, and no matter how beautiful it is, today, you must properly enjoy the scenery here for me." Su Yun's attitude was strong, but he did not dare to go overboard. Su Luluo frowned. "Protector Bai, why?" "No reason." "Could it be that Luluo really came here to enjoy the scenery today?" "Can't I?" "Protector Bai, don't you think it's a waste of time? It's obviously not the best. But it's unique." Su Yun turned his head and stared at her. One big and one small, their faces were extremely close to each other, and the two of them seemed to be able to feel each other's breathing. In this world, there are many things that are unique. They only exist here, and they do not exist anywhere else. It is right in front of your eyes, and although it is not the best, it is the most real. Do you understand? His face became unprecedentedly serious. His tone was also full of seriousness, and the seriousness in his eyes was simply frightening. Su Luluo was startled. He took a step back and said indifferently, "Protector Bai seems to be a little serious. Since Protector Bai has such intentions, Luluo will listen to you for once." With that, she walked out of the pavilion and slowly walked into the garden. Seeing that, Su Yun secretly heaved a sigh of relief. Seems like Su Luluo is not unable to communicate. There seems to be some improvement now. As he pondered, he hurriedly followed after her. Although she was looking at the scenery, Su Luluo did not completely listen to Su Yun. She walked slowly in the garden, but lowered her head to think about something, and did not look at the scenery at the side. Su Yun knew that no matter how hard he asked her to look, it would be useless, so he directly said, "Other than being so obsessed with the Supreme Divine Tao, what else do you like?" Su Luluo raised his head and looked at Su Yun indifferently. "Don't you think Protector Bai's question is a little strange? This is just a normal exchange. Although I have not known Lord Holy Maiden for long, I admire her very much, so I want to make friends with you." "There's no need to make friends. In this world, what's the difference between friends and enemies? Those who don't give you a path might be your friends, and those who give you a path might be your enemies," Su Luluo said indifferently. Hearing that, Su Yun was startled for a moment. He did not expect this girl to say such philosophical words. Only the Supreme Divine Tao, only the people who have entered the Supreme Sect, their hearts are the purest, and they are the most ideal friends. Just then, Su Luluo continued. He was here to advertise again. He organized his thoughts, and asked without any trace of politeness, Since the supreme sect is so powerful, why was it still destroyed? It's not destroyed, it's just that the evil and filthy things are beyond our imagination. We need time to purify them. Su Luluo said indifferently, his face calm like an ancient well. Well, he couldn't communicate at all. It was clearly nonsense, but when it came out of her mouth, it became dignified. The people of Supreme Sect really knew how to bluff. There seemed to be nothing left to talk about between the two of them. Su Luluo lowered his head in silence. No one knew what he was thinking. Su Yun followed behind, sizing her up. He muttered in his heart, "This is not the way to go on, I have to find a breakthrough." But what kind of breakthrough would be more practical? Crash! Just then, a strange sound came from the side of the two of them. Following that, a thick vine suddenly struck towards them. It was the vines of the vegetation. Most of the vegetation here was alive, so this phenomenon was not strange. But Su Yun did not care so much. Seeing the vine coming out, he was secretly happy and shouted, "Be careful!" Xian'er immediately threw Su Luluo to the side. Bang! The two of them fell together. Su Luluo was immediately hugged tightly by Su Yun, but there was no panic on her face. When the two of them calmed down, she stood up as if nothing had happened and looked at Su Yun. "Lord Holy Maiden, are you all right?" Su Yun stood up, pretended to be concerned, and asked anxiously. "I'm fine, it's just the restlessness of the plants. Why is Protector Bai making such a fuss?" Su Luluo said indifferently. "Ugh! So that's how it is. Lord Holy Maiden, I was just afraid that something might have happened to you." Su Yun pretended to be embarrassed and said, "Protector Bai is doing too much." Su Luluo said indifferently, and Xian'er returned to her previous expression, as though what happened just now was not a big deal to her. Seeing that the girl had become so cold again, Su Yun felt that everything he had done previously was futile. This guy seemed to have no emotions at all. She did not care about anything. What kind of magic did the Supreme Divine Tao have to actually be able to make a person become like this? Damn it! Su Yun was a little angry, but he was not angry at Su Luluo, but at the Supreme Divine Tao, causing his own sister to become like this, and at his own incompetence. She was clearly right in front of him, but he was powerless. "Luluo!" Just then, Su Yun suddenly raised his head and shouted at her. He did not call her Holy Maiden, but directly called her by her name, and her name was extremely intimate. Su Luluo turned his head to look at him, as though he felt that there was something wrong with the Protector Bai in front of him. But in the next second Su Yun suddenly faced her. His resolute sword eyes were extremely solemn and serious, and in the depths of his eyes there was an irresistible solemnity. Su Luluo was startled. He was probably confused by Su Yun's current expression. But in the next second, a sentence that shocked her came out of Su Yun's mouth. "Luluo, I like you, be my dual cultivation partner." Su Luluo's gem-like eyes opened wide. She looked at him in shock, but very quickly she regained her composure and turned her head. "Protector Bai, don't make fun of Luluo, you should continue to enjoy the beautiful scenery of the garden." However, just as she was about to leave, a pair of big hands pressed down on her shoulders. Su Luluo was forced to face Su Yun's big face. "Luluo, I'm serious, from the moment I saw you, I fell in love with you. I've been thinking about you all this time, every moment, every minute, every second. I realize that I can't live without you in my life. Luluo, promise me, be my dual cultivation partner." Su Yun said seriously. His words were extremely affectionate. Although he liked beauties, but when he thought about how the person in front of him was his own sister, he felt extremely disgusted. But right now, other than using this extreme method to find a gap between Su Luluo and himself, there was no other way. Sure enough, at this time, Su Luluo finally found it hard to maintain her composure, but she was not panicking, but rather angry. "Protector Bai, when did you become such a filthy person?" Su Luluo activated the profound chi, broke free from Su Yun's hand and turned to leave. But how could Su Yun let Su Luluo go at this critical juncture? He immediately stretched out his large hand and grabbed that fair and smooth little hand, directly pulling her back. Although the current Su Yun was only a spirit sage, he was not weaker than Su Luluo. Su Luluo was caught off guard and fell into Su Yun's embrace again. Bastard! Su Luluo was finally angry. This time, he did not care who Su Yun was, and directly raised his palm to attack him. But before her palm could reach him, it was grabbed tightly by Su Yun's other hand. In terms of strength, Su Luluo was even less of a match for Su Yun. The two of them squeezed together ambiguously. Su Luluo continued to struggle, but he could not do anything to the scoundrel, causing her eyes to become even colder. Protector by. Are you forcing me? Luluo, if you are willing to accept me, I will let you go immediately, Su Yun said shamelessly. How can the people of Supreme Sect agree to such a despicable thing? If that's the case, what's the difference between this sovereign and those filthy people? Su Luluo snorted coldly and said in a low voice, Protector Bai, I'll give you one last chance, let me go, if not, don't blame me for being injured later. Even if I die here today, I won't let go, Su Yun insisted. Su Luluo was angry, which meant that she still had emotions. Compared to her previous indifferent state, the current her was much better. But when Su Luluo heard him say that, he completely lost his patience. Good. Since that's the case, don't blame me. Su Luluo snorted, and immediately activated Limitless Profound Qi. Even for immortals, this mysterious aura was full of killing intent. This powerful profound Qi was the foundation of Su Luluo's standing in the immortal world. Chapter 941. The reason why Su Luluo was able to rely on her low strength to stabilize the Supreme Sect in the immortal world was not only because of the immortal seeking sect, but also because of her own talent and methods. Her strength was not high, but no immortal dared to be impudent in front of her. One of the reasons was because of the limitless profound Qi that could even devour immortal energy. But, just as Su Luluo was about to unrestrainedly release his limitless profound Qi, Su Yun hugged her tightly, and directly hugged her. The extremely astonishing limitless profound Qi immediately wrapped around Su Yun, and started to frantically rush into his body, but all of this was useless. Su Yun's imperial battle robe was completely immune to the limitless profound Qi. The hand that was hugging Su Luluo did not lose any strength. Su Luluo was startled, he was stunned, his entire body was like cotton, leaning into Su Yun's embrace. A gust of masculine Qi entered her nose like a fairy. She had never smelled such a scent before, and she had never been held in a man's arms like this before. If the current Su Luluo could still maintain her indifference, then she would really have seen a ghost. Although she was the holy maiden of the Supreme Sect, and had obtained the true inheritance of the Supreme Divine Tao, this did not mean that she had completely abandoned her humanity. She only had strong self-control, and was able to ignore all of this and abide by the Supreme Divine Tao. However, in the end, she was still a human and not a god. She had a bottom line in her heart, and now, Su Yun was completely challenging her bottom line. She did not resist Su Yun anymore. Instead, she closed her eyes and retracted her Qi. For a moment, the entire place fell silent. Su Yun was startled. He lowered his head to look, only to see that at this time, Su Luluo's entire body was suffused with a circle of white light. The light was not released outwards, but rippled inside and outside her skin, although it did not leak out much. But Su Yun could feel the terrifying destructive power contained inside. This aura. Could it be that Su Luluo wanted to commit suicide? His expression changed, and he immediately berated, "Stop!" After he finished speaking, he activated his profound Qi and infused it into her body, disrupting the circulation of the aura in her body. Su Luluo's delicate body trembled a few times, The technique she was using was forcefully interrupted by Su Yun. "What are you doing?" Su Luluo coughed a few times, his face pale white, and said coldly, "You're still talking about me? What are you doing?" Su Yun stared at her coldly. "Are you going to commit suicide? You have blasphemed me and insulted the Supreme Divine Tao, but I cannot kill your Tao protector. Since that's the case, then I will go and die," Su Luluo said resolutely. Hearing that, Su Yun's heart jumped. How could he have thought that Su Luluo would be so extreme, but at that moment, he was not angry, but said coldly, "Suicide? Good. Good. Very good, Su Luluo. If you really want to commit suicide because of this grievance, then you can commit suicide. I won't stop you. But I want to tell you, if you die, Supreme Sect will be finished." With that, he released his hand and no longer suppressed Su Luluo. Su Luluo raised his eyes, stared at Su Yun, and said softly, "What do you mean? What do you mean? Don't you understand? Hee. To think that you are the holy maiden of the Supreme Sect." Su Yun snorted. "Who is the new pillar of the Supreme Sect now? It's you. Who are the people who are trying their best to develop the Supreme Sect? It's still you. The reason why the Immortal Seeking Sect is able to fully support the new Supreme Sect, isn't it because you are the direct disciple of the old sect leader? If you die, not only will it be difficult for the Supreme Sect to develop in the immortal world, even the Immortal Seeking Sect will not continue to help the Supreme Sect. If you want to see the Supreme Divine Tao die just like that, then you can go ahead and die. At that time, the Supreme Sect will really be destroyed. You are the main culprit." When these words fell, it was like a wake-up call, causing Su Luluo's eyes to become absent-minded. She, who had always been calm, seemed to have suffered a heavy blow, and her expression became somewhat strange. Although she had always said that the Supreme Sect would exist forever, but that was just to deceive herself. She was clearer than Su Yun about the current situation of the Supreme Sect. Seeing Su Luluo's appearance, Su Yun was overjoyed. "What is it? Holy Maiden, are you still going to commit suicide?" "You're right. I shoulder the heavy responsibility of the Supreme Sect. I cannot just step into the door of the new world like this. The filth in this world has not been completely purified. I cannot just leave like this," Su Luluo muttered. "Since that's the case, then you should be prepared. What exactly do you want?" Su Luluo raised his bright eyes and stared at him. "Didn't you want to revitalize the Supreme Sect? I can help you." Su Yun held Su Luluo's small hand and said gently. Su Luluo frowned. She wanted to retract her hand, but she could not. Her strength could not compare to Su Yun, but at the moment, she had no choice but to let Su Yun do whatever he wanted. "In my eyes, Protector Bai is becoming more and more like those hopeless filthy people," she said in a low voice, unable to contain her anger. Thank you. I believe that one day you will accept me." Su Yun laughed. This person was so shameless. Su Luluo struggled a few times, but could only give up. After all, Su Yun's cultivation was stronger than hers. The two of them messed around in the garden for a while, and when Su Yun felt that it was about time, he let Su Luluo go. He could not rush anything. Su Luluo could not accept him immediately. He still needed some time to accumulate. Su Luluo and Su Yun separated, and the two of them returned to their own cultivation grounds. As usual, Su Yun went to the sect leader's cultivation grounds to cultivate. Although the sect leader of the Immortal Seeking Sect was dead, he had left behind countless good things, all of which were used by immortals, and all of them had outstanding effects, causing people to exclaim in admiration. After devouring the sect leader's soul, the profound qi in his body increased explosively, and when his cultivation stepped into the spirit profound immortal realm, the profound qi would automatically transform into immortal qi. In these short few months, his cultivation had once again increased. It was unknown if it was because of the imperial battle robe or the souls of the supreme expert, But the current Su Yun's cultivation speed could not be understood by ordinary people. Adding the countless pills left behind by the sect leader, Su Yun's realm had directly stepped into the 5th stage of the Spirit Sage. The cultivation speed of the immortal world was countless times faster than that of the ultimate martial world. This place was surrounded by immortal qi and was filled with spirit aura. It could be said that out of the 3 levels, it was the most suitable place for people to cultivate. Su Yun had already arranged for a group of true Devil Realms elites to come here to cultivate for a long period of time, and also provided them with a large number of immortal pills and immortal equipment to assist in their cultivation, hoping that they would be able to step into the Spirit Sage realm as soon as possible. In the future, when fighting against immortals, they would at least need to be at the peak of the Spirit Sage realm, and most of them would be facing Spirit Profound Immortal. Compared to a random sect in the immortal world, the true Devil realm was currently as weak as a baby. However, to nurture a Spirit Sage, not only did it require a large amount of wealth, it also required opportunities and talent. While Chi and Su Yun were counting the immortal seeking sect, they were informed by Xiang Yang of a secret treasure land in the immortal seeking sect. This treasure land was similar to the quiet world that Octagon Aniseed had allowed Su Yun to cultivate in. Cultivating inside for a year was equivalent to cultivating outside for 100 years, and the aura inside was the same as the immortal world, filled with immortal qi and spirit aura. For this, Su Yun had led the elites of the true Devil sect to cultivate inside for a few months. If not for Su Luluo, perhaps Su Yun would still be meditating inside. Although there was such a mystical place for the Devil cultivator to cultivate in, Su Yun did not think that it would bring much of an advantage to the true Devil realm, because all the sects in the immortal world had such a thing. In the next 2 months, Su Yun would either drag Su Luluo everywhere, or sit cross-legged to cultivate and practice his sword technique. His days were tense but comfortable, but very quickly, the great Linglong Palace's karma gathering was held. If he could not obtain the exquisite rainbow, then everything he had done would be superfluous. This step was extremely important. Su Yun did not dare to be careless in the slightest. This time, he was going alone. Of course, if Ling Qingyu who was in the sword sheath was counted, there would only be 2 people. The great Linglong Palace was about a day's journey from the immortal seeking sect. Su Yun flew all the way, passing through several immortal cities, bypassing 2 immortal sects, and finally arrived at the exquisite paradise. At this moment, there were already a large number of immortals flying around the exquisite paradise. Some of them were heading towards the exquisite paradise, while some were disciples sent by the great Linglong Palace to welcome the immortals. Su Yun circled around the periphery and found an empty cloud to hide. With the imperial battle robe, you can definitely sneak in. Ling Qingyu flew out from the sword sheath and said, "There's no need to sneak in. Although I did not enter the great Linglong Palace, I have already figured out the situation inside and the location of the exquisite rainbow. Right now, I only need to wait for the karma gathering to begin, the outer enchantment will weaken, and people will focus on the karma gathering," Su Yun said. Hearing that, Ling Qingyu nodded and returned to the sword sheath. Su Yun sat there cross-legged and waited quietly. The immortals in the surroundings headed towards the Dali Linglong Palace. In just a short while, more than 100 people had entered. There were probably more than 1,000 immortals participating in the karma meet. 6 hours later, a melodious bell sound came out from the great Linglong Palace and floated into the distance. Su Yun opened his eyes from his meditation and regained his senses. It's about time. He stood up and pulled out the gray and long needle-like cloud exploring sword from the sword sheath, and stared into the distance. It was a gorgeous palace that had landed on a large patch of bright red clouds. He took a light breath, closed his eyes, and activated the imperial battle robe on his body. His soul immediately left his body and flew above the great Linglong Palace. The people in the Linglong Palace were like ants in his eyes, scurrying around, but there was only one destination, and that was a viewing platform on the upper right side of the Linglong Palace. Suddenly, Su Yun felt his entire body turn cold, as though there was an existence looking at him. He anxiously retracted his soul, shielded his aura, and hid himself. It was unknown what kind of cultivation level a person could produce such a cold feeling. Chapter 942. Following the melodious ringing of the bell, the great Linglong Palace's cause and effect gathering officially began. Su Yun walked out from the shadows and looked at the beautiful palace in the distance. He took a deep breath and held onto the cloud exploring sword. He closed his eyes and activated the profound qi. Under the guidance of the profound qi, circles of spirit undulations started to quickly surge towards the cloud exploring sword's sword body. The sword overflowed with a large amount of ripples, which were even more intense and dense than the ripples in the group of spar. It didn't take long for the ripple to take shape. Under his control, the ripple turned into an invisible hand that quickly flew towards the Dali Linglong Palace. There were a large number of disciples guarding the perimeter of the Linglong Palace. Today was the time for the great Linglong Palace to hold the cause and effect gathering. If something were to go wrong at this time, then the great Linglong Palace would lose all face. Although the outer enchantment had weakened slightly, the outer defense did not show any signs of relaxing. However, when the ripples released by the cloud exploring sword approached, it did not cause the slightest reaction from the other party. This soundless ripple was as if it did not exist. It passed through the bodies of those people without them noticing it. Very quickly, the invisible hand approached the first enchantment. If the hand wanted to pass through the enchantment, it had to be extremely slow. It had to synchronize its own fluctuations with the fluctuations of the enchantment in order to cover it, otherwise it would cause the fluctuations to fluctuate. Su Yun had some experience with enchantments. Although this was an immortal's enchantment, it was a different method to achieve the same result, so it was not difficult to do. Very quickly, the first enchantment was easily passed through by the hand without the slightest obstruction. Not long after, the second, the third, the fourth, everything went as planned. There were no accidents. This is great, Su Yun. I never thought that you would be able to completely understand the cloud exploring sword in such a short period of time. Ling Qingyu, who was in the sword sheath, could not help but exclaim in admiration. She looked into the distance, obviously feeling the change there. But Su Yun did not reply to her, and was completely focused on controlling the cloud exploring sword. Ling Qingyu was silent for a moment, and did not dare to make another sound, afraid that she would distract Su Yun. After the time it takes for half an incense stick to burn, the outer boundary was completely broken and the invisible hand entered the Dali Linglong Palace. The scenery of the great Linglong Palace was different from the immortal seeking sect. There were many pavilions in the immortal seeking sect, and they stood tall everywhere. However, the majority of the buildings in the great Linglong Palace were palaces, and every palace was surrounded by 4 golden platforms. On the platforms there were disciples cultivating or patrolling. The great Linglong Palace was huge, and the distribution of the disciples was rather scattered. Su Yun followed the pre-planned route and controlled the big hand to move forward. He sped all the way, and after passing close to 100 patrolling disciples, he finally arrived at the place where the exquisite colors were stored. In front of the cultivation hall of the Dali Palace Master, 2 statues stood at the periphery of the palace, and below the statues were 2 people dressed in fiery red robes, 1 male and 1 female. Both of their cultivations were terrifying. According to the scouts that were sent out, the 2 of them had been guarding the palace for many years, and were the personal guards of the Dali Palace Master. The 2 of them had been standing here for hundreds of years, and in the Dali Linglong Palace, their positions were even higher than the clan elders. Su Yun controlled the big hand to circle around the palace, and realized that there were a total of 7 layers of enchantments in the palace, but the most troublesome one was the innermost layer. The enchantment seemed to be personally set up by the palace master. The ripples were extremely complicated, and it was likely that it would take a lot of time to imitate the frequency of the ripples. Su Yun controlled the big hand and quietly approached the two of them. When it got close to the two of them still did not have any reaction. Like statues, they stood there without moving. Su Yun could not help but sigh in his heart. The cloud-exploring sword was indeed extraordinary, even such an expert did not sense it. After passing through the 2 guards, Su Yun started to control the big hand to move towards the first enchantment. Then the second, the third. The first 6 did not have any accidents, but it took a long time. It took a full hour, and then it was the last one. This enchantment was half a meter thick, and the ripples inside seemed to have 49 different patterns of movement, which was extremely difficult to imitate. Su Yun was completely focused. Through the big hand, he stared at the ripples of the enchantment, carefully imitating it, not daring to be careless at all. Although he was already a spirit sage cultivator, beads of perspiration flowed out of his face unknowingly. Ling Qingyu flew out from the sword sheath. Looking at Su Yun, who had a serious face, she started to worry, but at the moment she did not even dare to breathe loudly, afraid that something bad would happen. Su Yun's serious and nervous expression persisted for 4 hours, before he finally relaxed, and Ling Qingyu could see him fiercely exhale. "Done?" Ling Qingyu asked. "We have already entered the place where the exquisite Kai is stored. Now, as long as we find the exquisite Kai, we will succeed." Su Yun laughed. "You have to move faster, it's already been more than 4 hours. If you come out for another 4 hours, I'm afraid something will happen." Ling Qingyu said. "Don't worry, coming out will be faster than going in, because I already know the frequency of these enchantments." Su Yun laughed. He controlled the big hand and wandered around the palace. Hopefully, everything would end smoothly. There were many things placed in the hall. There were shelves all around, and there were many porcelain bottles on the shelves. Each porcelain bottle had a small red slip of paper on it, and a few black words were floating on the paper. These were all pills, and their effects were naturally not bad, but Su Yun did not care about these pills. His target was the Dragon Mark viewing platform in the center of the palace. The platform was nearly 2 meters tall, and there were 3 golden dragons circling around it. The golden dragons were vivid and lifelike, as though they were alive, and at the top of the viewing platform there was a jade plate, and in the center of the plate was a dazzling golden flower. The golden flower was exceptionally beautiful, and between the petals there was a flickering starlight. In the middle of the flower there was a snow-white gem, and with just one look, Su Yun felt as though his body and mind had sunk into it, unable to extricate himself. "Is this the exquisite Kai?" Su Yun's heart was slightly excited. He immediately moved his big hand towards the exquisite Kai. However, just as the big hand approached the exquisite Kai, the golden dragon that was circling around the stage suddenly squirmed a few times. "Alive?" Su Yun was startled. However, the golden dragon only squirmed slightly and did not make any other movements. It seemed like the chi hand released by the cloud-exploring sword was not discovered by them. However, although he was not discovered, once he moved the exquisite Kai, these 3 golden dragons that seemed to be puppets would definitely sense it, right? If they became agitated and alerted the 2 guards outside, it would be troublesome. Su Yun started to think. After about 10 breaths of time, he controlled the big hand to return to the enchantment at the door, and actually moved the big hand out. After going out, he moved the big hand in again. At that moment, there was no way to silently avoid the line of sight of the 3 golden dragons. This was only the power of the cloud-exploring sword, and he himself was not there. Since he could not avoid the other party's surveillance, the only way was to bring the exquisite Kai out as fast as possible. The cloud exploring sword's movement speed was not slow, but the enchantments along the way would obstruct his footsteps, especially the 7 enchantments at the entrance of the palace. He had to break through them in an instant and could not do it like before. He could leave the enchantment in an instant through the gap, but Su Yun did not plan to completely synchronize the frequency of the enchantment because it was meaningless. When everything was ready, he took a deep breath and once again controlled the big hand to cover the exquisite Kai. As the big hand approached, the 3 golden dragons opened their eyes at the same time. Their bodies slowly moved again, as though they had some feeling, but they could not catch sight of the other party's figure. Su Yun stared at the treasure that was just inches away from him. His heart was already restless, thinking that he could save his sister from the sea of suffering by obtaining this thing. He could not hold it in any more. Whatever. Time waits for no one. Su Yun took a deep breath, and directly controlled the cloud exploring sword to grab at the exquisite Kai. Roar. In almost an instant, the 3 golden dragons roared in unison, leaving the stage and soaring into the air. Su Yun was completely focused. He controlled his big hand to hold onto the exquisite Kai tightly, and crazily smashed his head outward. As he neared the 7 enchantments, he immediately found a gap that he had observed before and directly passed through. Although the enchantment was shaken by the impact, it did not hinder him much, and his speed did not decrease at all. Like a beam of light, he shot out of the palace's periphery. The man and woman guarding outside did not hesitate at all. Their reaction speed was so fast that it left one speechless, and they immediately followed him. Even the 3 golden dragons could not compare to them. So fast. Su Yun frowned. He raised the speed of the cloud exploring sword's chi to the limit, and dragged the exquisite Kai along the way. The disciples of the Dali Linglong Palace that they met on the way only saw a burst of golden light brush past their shoulders, and they could not even see what it was. The man and woman were extremely close, and Su Yun was almost unable to shake them off. At the same time, the palace mistress of the Dali Linglong Palace, who was at the Karma gathering, also noticed that something had happened to exquisite Kai, and immediately gave the order to leave the Karma gathering and rush over. Even though he was standing outside the Dali Linglong Palace, Su Yun could feel an unparalleled and powerful aura stirring restlessly inside the Dali Linglong Palace. Looks like it won't be easy to get rid of these guys. Su Yun's face tensed up. He hung the cloak on his head, blurring his appearance, shielding his chi, and with his other hand, he pulled out the death sword from the sword sheath. Su Yun, what's wrong? Seeing Su Yun's actions, Ling Qingyu asked curiously. They're coming. Su Yun stared in the direction of the Dali Linglong Palace and said softly, Chase. Ling Qingyu was startled. She saw a few beams of light rushing out from the Dali Linglong Palace. They were chasing after the golden beam of light at the front. Their speed was extremely fast, and they were about to close in. Come in. Su Yun shouted. Ling Qingyu did not dare delay, and immediately entered the sword sheath. Then, Su Yun took a step forward and rushed over, raising the death sword high up in the air. He directly slashed towards the experts of the Dali Linglong Palace. Crash! A gigantic black sword chi that seemed to be able to split the sky exploded out from the death sword's blade, directly striking towards the experts of the Dali Linglong Palace. Chapter 943. Who is it? The Vice Palace Master of Linglong Palace bellowed. With a wave of his hands, a circle of blue light shot out, hitting the sword chi and actually purifying it completely. So strong. Su Yun frowned. But with his appearance, he had slightly blocked the opponent's pursuit. The cloud-exploring sword's power dragged exquisite Kai like a beam of light, directly striking towards Su Yun. Su Yun kept his cloud-exploring sword, caught exquisite Kai with one hand, and immediately turned to escape. Oh, so it was you who wanted to steal my sect-protecting treasure, exquisite Kai. The palace master of Ling Long Palace was not flustered, and was not in a hurry to chase after Su Yun. He only stood in his original position, raised his hand, and moved his fingers a few times. However, you might have miscalculated one thing. Exquisite Kai has already recognized its master, so even if you forcefully steal it, it will be useless. With that said, Su Yun felt that Exquisite Kai in his hands was suddenly pulled by a force. It was restless, and the force was getting stronger and stronger, to the point that he felt that it was difficult to grab it, and finally, whiz! Exquisite Kai, which was originally held tightly by Su Yun, immediately flew out, towards Vice Palace Master Ling Long's hands. Su Yun's face changed, he looked over. Vice Palace Master Ling Long was a young man dressed in a fiery red robe. He was very handsome, but his eyes were filled with an indescribable sinister look, causing people to feel cold. At the moment, he was looking at Su Yun with a strange smile. It already recognized its master? Su Yun suddenly understood. Actually, from the moment Exquisite Kai was in trouble, Vice Palace Master Ling Long could have already taken it back, but he did not choose to take it back immediately. Instead, he followed Exquisite Kai to find the person who stole it. The two guards in front of the palace, a man and a woman, took the opportunity to circle behind Su Yun, sealing off his escape route. You have guts, you actually dare to behave atrociously in Ling Long Palace. Do you not know that today is the day of Ling Long Palace's karma gathering? Coming here to cause trouble, I will not forgive you. Vice Palace Master Ling Long snorted. His eyes suddenly flashed with a blue light, the immortal chi in his body surged like a river, crazily gathering towards his eyes. Su Yun, be careful, he's going to use the great exquisite technique. Ling Qingyu, who was in the sword sheath, seemed to have sensed something and immediately shouted. Grand exquisite technique? Su Yun's eyes turned cold. He suddenly rushed towards Vice Palace Master Ling Long. Without any hesitation, he rushed forward to kill. Grand exquisite technique. A miraculous immortal technique that could see through a person's inner thoughts. This kind of immortal technique should have been classified as a forbidden technique, but the great Ling Long Palace had actually moved it onto a dignified stage. Once the great Ling Long technique was added to his body, not only would Su Yun expose everything in his heart, he would also reveal the fact that the true devil realm had already occupied the immortal seeking sect. If that was the case, then the situation would be much more serious. Seeing Su Yun rushing over, Vice Palace Master Ling Long did not care. The man and woman instantly appeared in front of Su Yun, with the intention of stopping him, but at that moment, the imperial battle robe on Su Yun's body was fully activated, the divine power erupted, the immortal chi on their bodies was like a collapsing mountain, disintegrating. Seizing the opportunity, Su Yun pushed the two away and rushed towards Vice Palace Master Ling Long. Seeing that the two of them were unable to stop Su Yun, Vice Palace Master Ling Long was shocked. She immediately stopped the immortal technique and retreated a few steps. To be able to force the two guards stationed outside the palace away, the other party's strength must not be simple. Vice Palace Master Ling Long was a cautious person, seeing how aggressive the other party was. How could he dare to be careless? Su Yun raised the death sword, and directly struck towards Vice Palace Master Ling Long. The sword released several sword images, straight towards his body. But before the sharp sword could even get close to Vice Palace Master Ling Long, a circle of blue light erupted from his body, directly knocking away the incoming death sword. Immortals were different from ordinary spirit cultivator, so ordinary methods were useless against immortals. Su Yun extended his hand into the sword sheath and took out the immortal mystical scarlet blood sword and the tribulation fire sword. The two swords were thrown into the air by him and hovered in the air, while he continued to rush towards Vice Palace Master Ling Long. Although Ling Long Kai had already recognized him as his master, he would not give up just like that. This was the only way to save his sister. He had to take Ling Long Kai back. Otherwise, His sister would forever be trapped in the supreme divine Tao and would not be able to save herself. If that was the case, Su Yun would probably regret it for the rest of his life. Thinking about it, Su Yun's hazy face became sinister. His speed instantly reached its limit, almost without a shadow. He surrounded Vice Palace Master Ling Long and attacked. However, Vice Palace Master Ling Long was not afraid of Su Yun's speed. No matter how fast Su Yun increased his speed, he would always be able to calmly block it, and what was even more surprising was that the god power overflowing from Su Yun's imperial battle robe was actually unable to devour Vice Palace Master Ling Long's immortal qi. The divine power frantically absorbed the opponent's immortal energy, and the stamina that Su Yun had consumed was also replenished by the immortal energy absorbed by the imperial battle robe. However, Vice Palace Master Ling Long was not affected in the slightest, only a trace of doubt appeared on his face. I realized that my immortal energy consumption rate is much faster than usual today. What is it you're doing? Vice Palace Master Ling Long said indifferently. A palm suddenly shot out, a ball of mist spewing out from his palm, directly sending Su Yun flying. Although Su Yun was safe and sound in the fight between the two of them, he was at a disadvantage. The opponent's immortal qi seemed to be inexhaustible. It was impossible to rely on the imperial battle robe to empty it, and if he could not empty the opponent's immortal qi, Su Yun would not be able to break through his flesh and kill him. Ever since Su Yun stepped into the immortal world, this was the first time he had met such an opponent. In the end, the immortal seeking sect was only a half-immortal sect. The difference in strength between the immortal seeking sect master and Vice Palace Master Ling Long could be described as heaven and earth, let alone the palace master. After a round, Su Yun did not gain any advantage. He leaped into the air and released his profound qi, striking towards the two swords in the air. Profound qi? A guy who has not even stepped into the spirit profound immortal realm dares to be so impudent in the great Linglong Palace. You are just relying on a good treasure. If I want to kill you, it will be as easy as flipping my hand. Vice Palace Master Ling Long said in disdain, her body trembling as she rushed towards Su Yun. He could no longer be bothered to use the great exquisite technique to peek into Su Yun's heart. Once he subdued this person, everything would be clear. The profound qi was like dense raindrops that struck the white and red swords, causing the two swords to immediately tremble, and under Su Yun's control, they continued to spin and collide. The tribulation fire sword silently endured, while the immortal mystical scarlet blood sword crazily transferred its own sword power onto the tribulation fire sword, and very quickly, the trembling tribulation fire sword gradually slowed down. Immortal explosion. At this time, Vice Palace Master Ling Long's palm struck out, and a thick circle of immortal power immediately wrapped around his body. Following that, the immortal power exploded. It was earth-shattering. However, the explosion quickly ended, and Vice Palace Master Ling Long discovered that before the immortal qi surrounding Su Yun could explode, more than half of it had been absorbed by Su Yun. He could absorb immortal qi? When Vice Palace Master Ling Long discovered this phenomenon, she was truly shocked. But at this moment, a white and blazing beam of light suddenly shot over from above. This beam of light emitted an astonishingly high temperature, shaking the air and shaking the immortal qi. With an unparalleled aura, it rushed over. Vice Palace Master Ling Long raised his head, and saw that the beam of light was one of the two swords that the other party had thrown out earlier. Just as he was about to dodge, he saw a pair of large hands suddenly grabbing onto his body tightly. The owner of these hands was Su Yun. Hand over Ling Long Kai. Su Yun placed his head next to Vice Palace Master Ling Long's ear, and said coldly, this seems to be a little interesting. Do you really think that you can make me submit with just this little trick? Vice Palace Master Ling Long seemed to be in no hurry, and did not pay much attention to this attack. His immortal chi was still being frantically extracted by Su Yun, but there were no signs of it drying up. Dong! The tribulation fire sword that was wrapped in power fell straight down, smashing towards Vice Palace Master Ling Long. A circle of immortal chi erupted from his body, and the divine power around Su Yun's body seemed to be unable to devour the immortal chi. Boom! The tribulation fire sword was blocked by the immortal chi, releasing an earth-shattering sound. Its snow-white sword fiercely stabbed the immortal chi a few times, trembling incessantly. In the end, it was exhausted and stopped. It completely ignored Su Yun's sharp sword that could break through everything. Su Yun's pupils dilated slightly. "It's my turn now." Vice Palace Master Ling Long's arm suddenly shook, pushing Su Yun away. Xian'er formed a seal with both of her hands, releasing a snow-white lotus imprint, smashing towards his chest. Bang! Su Yun's chest exploded, the air trembled, the surrounding clouds dispersed, and a terrifying power spread out in all directions. Su Yun was sent flying far away, but when he stabilized his body, he was unharmed. Oh! Vice Palace Master Ling Long was shocked. Su Yun could not do anything to him, but he could not hurt Su Yun in the slightest. What was this person's cultivation level? Su Yun's face suddenly became gloomy. The immortal chi was like a bottomless pit. No matter how hard he tried to suck it out, it was probably the peak of the spirit profound immortal, right? Towards such an existence, he could not hold back at all. He took a deep breath, his heart turning cold. Rays of cold light flashed in his eyes, and the killing intent in his body gradually rose. The two guards seemed to have sensed the change in Su Yun, and immediately rushed in front of Vice Palace Master Ling Long. Vice Palace Master Ling Long also noticed the change in Su Yun, although he knew that the cultivation of the person in front of him was not high. For some reason, he felt an indescribable palpitation in his heart. Right now, the only way to kill this person and seize exquisite Kai is to use that move. Devil Soul, the soul of the demon saint. With this move, Su Yun could forcefully raise his cultivation to the peak. Su Yun, don't be impulsive, leave quickly. Just then, Ling Qingyu's voice came out from the sword sheath. Exquisite Kai is right in front of me, how can I give up? Su Yun said unwillingly. But if you continue to act recklessly, not only will you harm yourself, you will also harm the entire true devil realm, and your sister. Do you know? Ling Qingyu's anxious voice came out. The change here has already attracted the attention of the people from the great Linglong Palace. The experts from the Karma Gathering are probably about to rush here. Once someone uses the great Linglong technique on you, all of your secrets will be exposed. At that time, the situation will be terrible. Go. Hurry up. Hearing that, Su Yun frowned. He turned to look at the great Linglong Palace, only to see a large number of figures flying out. Chapter 944. Su Yun and Ling Qingyu did not understand what kind of technique the great exquisite technique was, nor did they know what kind of concept it was to peer into one's mind. Was it to peer into everything in one's memories, or was it just to see what the target was thinking at the moment? Maybe it was just to see what the target was thinking, but if Su Yun let his imagination run wild, and thought of anything related to the demon realm, then the situation would not be good. But if he were to leave now, could it be that he was giving up on exquisite Kai? Su Yun clenched his fists tightly. His teeth were about to shatter. His heart was filled with unwillingness, causing him to be unable to move at all. Seeing that, Ling Qingyu's heart was burning with anxiety. Idiot, what are you still thinking about? Exquisite Kai has already recognized you as its master. If you cannot kill Palace Master Ling Long, you will not be able to obtain exquisite Kai, but we have no way of dealing with him now. If you do not leave now, not only will you not be able to obtain exquisite Kai, you might even lose your life. Are you really willing to do that? I understand. Su Yun's heart was filled with unwillingness, but at the moment, he did not lose his rationality. If he continued to stay here, the situation would only become worse. Immediately, he moved his finger, releasing a circle of spirit ripples towards Vice Palace Master Ling Long. Although these illusion techniques might not be able to trap Vice Palace Master Ling Long for even 10 breaths of time, it was able to buy time for Su Yun. He leaped a few thousand li and disappeared into the horizon. When Vice Palace Master Ling Long regained her senses from the illusion, Su Yun was already gone, leaving only the smell in the air. Chase! The 2 guards yelled, and were about to follow the aura to kill. There's no need to chase. Vice Palace Master Ling Long shouted to stop them. Even if we catch up, we can't do anything to that person. Although his cultivation is not high, his methods are too brilliant. When did such a person appear in the great immortal realm? Vice Palace Master, please punish us. The 2 of them knelt down on one knee and said with their heads lowered. You are not guilty. This person stole exquisite Kai without a sound. It is not something that you and I can predict. I just want to find out, where did this guy come from? Vice Palace Master Ling Long waved her hand, turned and flew back into the great Ling Long Palace. The experts who flew out from Ling Long Palace turned around and followed Vice Palace Mistress Ling Long back with puzzled expressions. On the way back to the Immortal Seeking Sect, Su Yun's expression was very disappointed. At this moment, he felt that his mind was in a mess and his state of mind was in a mess. Ling Qingyu flew out from the sword sheath, looked at Su Yun, sighed and said softly, Su Yun, there is always a way, even without exquisite Kai, there will definitely be other ways, don't be too sad. However, if we can't pull my sister back from the Supreme Divine Tao, she doesn't know when she will suffer the backlash of the limitless profound Chi. Su Yun secretly clenched his teeth, and said softly, A few days ago, I received a report that only half of the Immortal Seeking Sect disciples that Luluo borrowed to the Supreme Sect are left. Half of them? Ling Qingyu jumped in fright, don't tell me the rest. They all died from the backlash of the limitless profound Chi. Su Yun closed his eyes and said softly. Ling Qingyu was silent. Although the limitless profound Chi could give the spirit profound cultivator an extremely terrifying method, it could also cause them to die immediately. This was a double-edged sword. If exquisite Kai was here, I believe that Luluo would be able to leave the Supreme Divine Tao in less than a month. But now, it seems like there is no time limit, he said tiredly. Ling Qingyu looked at him quietly, and after a long while, she said, Although your method feels feasible, it does not mean that there is no other way, Su Yun. You also said that before using exquisite Kai, you have to open up Su Lilua's state of mind, connect with her soul, and let her accept you. I have always been thinking, if she can accept you, why would she need exquisite Kai? You can use your own methods to change her, can't you? On my own? Su Yun was startled. You have to believe in yourself. Ling Qingyu said seriously. The power of a person will be stronger than any magic treasure, this will never change. Hearing that, Su Yun did not say anything. Just like that, the 2 of them returned to the Immortal Seeking Sect at a leisurely pace. After fighting with Vice Palace Master Ling Long, Su Yun did not feel the slightest bit tired, but was instead full of energy, just that he was not in a good mood. He sat cross-legged for a while, thinking about Ling Qingyu's words. His mind was in a mess again. Could it be that he had to give up on his sister just like that? No way. Impossible. His heart tightened. He had already made a decision in his heart. Since he couldn't rely on magic treasure to change a person, then he could only rely on manpower to change. The dark green demonic chi that filled the sky rippled in this strange valley, and 2 strange figures were carefully walking in the valley. This was the true demon realm, the birthplace of the ordinary demon realm. Most of the people here were 10,000-year-old demons with terrifying demonic energy, and many of them were even the pillars of the demon realm. The reason why the true demon realm could exist was because of their deterrence. These two people were the snake-headed man and the scorpion that came from the demon realm. The two demons were obviously extremely afraid. The demonic chi around them was too dense, so dense that it made them feel afraid. Smelly snake, what are we doing here? Scorpion looked around nervously and asked with a trembling voice. Of course we're looking for someone. The snake-headed man swallowed his saliva. Hearing that, Scorpion subconsciously asked, Who are you looking for? Good question. I also want to know who you two ants are looking for, coming to my territory. Or rather, you're here to court death. At this moment, a voice suddenly floated over from afar. The two of them looked towards the direction of the voice, but the moment they turned their heads, a huge existence suddenly descended in front of them. The terrifying demonic energy directly pressed down on their shoulders, and the two of them were unable to defend against it. With a plop, they fell to the ground. My lord! The two of them hurriedly called out. The one in front of them was a great demon with a mountainous body and 8 green eyes that looked like a bull. It panted, and white gas came out of its black nostrils. Looking at the two demons lying on the ground, the great demon's eyes emitted a strange light. The true demon realm can't possibly have such a weak monster like you. Speak, who are you people? What are you doing here? Hee, if this sovereign is happy, perhaps this sovereign can arrange a more comfortable death for you. Your Excellency, don't kill us, we came here today to bring you some incredible news. The snake-headed man cried out in panic. Incredible news? A cold light flashed across the great demon's eyes. Tell me, what news is it? The snake-headed man did not dare to hesitate, and immediately said, A few days ago, this lowly one accidentally ate a spirit cultivator, because this lowly one knows the soul essence technique. When devouring her soul, I can peek into her memories for 7 days, and thus, this lowly one discovered a shocking secret. After exchanging blows with Vice Palace Mistress Ling Long, Su Yun had gained a lot of experience, especially the immortal chi that he had absorbed through the imperial battle robe, which made Su Yun exclaim in surprise. It was a pity that he did not understand the great exquisite technique. If he could learn it, he would be able to see through Vice Palace Mistress Ling Long's thoughts, and would be able to obtain a lot of useful experience. Not being able to obtain the exquisite color made his state of mind chaotic, but this could not solve the problem. He could only take one step at a time, stabilize his state of mind, and completely digest the soul of the immortal seeking sect master. There were signs of a breakthrough in his cultivation, but the breakthrough in his cultivation did not make Su Yun feel much excitement. Ever since he had obtained the imperial battle robe, such signs would often appear, and he could almost calculate the pattern of his breakthrough. After staying in his training grounds for a few days, Su Yun finally finished adjusting his mental state. He was not a person who would easily give up. Although he could not obtain the exquisite color, it did not mean that he had no other way. The old man from Dark Place was not omnipotent, there must be other ways. Su Yun thought, but just at this time, the devil sect that he had sent to keep an eye on Su Luluo suddenly came over. After hearing the report from the devil sect, Su Yun immediately stood up and headed towards Su Luluo's location. Just as he approached the Jade Palace Pavilion, he saw a guard of honor standing in front of the pavilion. They were all people from the Supreme Sect, while Su Luluo was standing on a golden sedan chair. The curtain had already been lifted, and he was about to go up. Where are you going? Su Yun walked over and asked. Su Luluo turned her head and looked at Su Yun, who was walking over with large strides. Her exquisite and beautiful face was still as indifferent as the clouds, and she said indifferently, A few days ago, I went to the Ancient Moon Pavilion to teach, and although I had some achievements, the pavilion master of the Ancient Moon Pavilion refused to meet me. Now that the Ancient Moon Pavilion has sent a message, saying that the pavilion master is free and can talk to me, I am going to the Ancient Moon Pavilion this time. Ancient Moon Pavilion? Are you still going to teach? Su Yun frowned. This filthy world needs more saints to purify. Since the people of the ancient moon pavilion are willing to abandon the dark and seek the light, I will naturally be the one to guide them, and let them work together for the new world. Is that really so? Su Yun frowned. He naturally did not believe it. But he knew that even if he went to explain, he would not be able to persuade Su Luluo. After thinking for a moment, Su Yun said indifferently, "Since Luluo plans to go to the ancient moon pavilion, then all right, I will go with you." "You're going too?" "It just so happens that there's nothing else I need to take care of in the immortal seeking sect. I'll accompany you for a walk this time. Staying here every day is quite boring." Su Yun laughed. Su Luluo hesitated for a moment, but in the end, he still nodded. The group slowly flew out of the immortal seeking sect. Before they left, Su Yun did not forget to ask the Round Demon to come over and temporarily organize the matters here. With regards to the ancient moon pavilion, Su Yun was also a little unsure. Chapter 945. There were very few half-immortal sects in the immortal world, and it could be said that there were only a handful of them. Strictly speaking, an existence like the immortal seeking sect was one of the lowest-level sects in the immortal world. Su Yun did not know how powerful the immortal seeking sect's network was, but from the previous battle, the immortal seeking sect's overall strength was not considered strong. And the new Greater One sect that developed because of the immortal seeking sect could not be said to be an immortal sect, although through Su Luluo's efforts, he had indeed bewitched many immortals to join the Supreme Sect, but this was not enough to allow the Supreme Sect to immediately develop and grow stronger. On the other hand, as an immortal sect, how could the ancient moon pavilion listen to Su Luluo's words? Therefore, Su Yun thought that the ancient moon pavilion had other intentions and invited Su Luluo over. After all, she was his own sister. How could Su Yun be at ease? The Supreme Sect's group was neither fast nor slow as they advanced forward. It was the first time Su Yun had heard of the ancient moon pavilion, and he did not know where it was located. To reach the ancient moon pavilion, it would probably take a few days. Su Yun roughly glanced at the people from the Supreme Sect, and discovered that without exception, all of them were immortals, and the weakest was probably at the first stage of the spirit profound immortal. This technique of deception, Supreme Sect was indeed the strongest. To be able to get so many immortals to be his fighters, it had to be said that Su Luluo had his methods. Su Luluo did not speak along the way. Su Yun wanted to talk to him, but he could not find a topic to talk to, so he meditated and meditated. 3 days later, the group finally arrived at the ancient moon pavilion, on a mountain that was completely formed by colorful, auspicious clouds. Cloudy Mountain was dazzling and magnificent. On the mountain, there was a dazzling array of buildings. There were palaces, pavilions, and it was very magnificent. A long ladder extended down from the mountain, and on the other end of the ladder, there was a dazzling golden gate. On the gate, there were several large golden characters that were constantly shining under the light. Ancient Moon Pavilion. Who's at the foot of the mountain? When the disciples at the mountain gate saw this group of people, they immediately rushed over and questioned them. "We are from the Supreme Sect. This is the Supreme Being of our sect, the Holy Maiden of the Supreme Sect. Today, we have come at the invitation of the Pavilion Master. Please send a message." A Greater One Sect disciple standing at the front said with clasped fists. Su Yun remembered that he was called Wang Xiao, a rogue cultivator. He had joined the Supreme Sect a month ago, and was now dead set on the Supreme Sect. Hearing Wang Xiao's words, the two disciples suddenly seemed to have changed into another person. Their originally stern faces immediately relaxed and were replaced by friendly smiles. "Oh? So it's the immortal friends from the Supreme Solitary Sect. The Pavilion Master has already instructed us to inform him immediately if the immortal friends from the Supreme Solitary Sect arrive. Please follow me into the pavilion. We will immediately inform the pavilion master. Everyone, this way please. They said respectfully. One of them ran into the pavilion first, while the other led Su Lulua's sedan chair inside. Su Yun followed them in. Along the way, it was as if he was looking at the flowers on horseback. The architectural style of the ancient moon pavilion was simple and unadorned. There were not many gorgeous decorations, but there was a natural feeling that made people feel very comfortable. After passing through a small river that flowed in the clouds, Su Yun, Su Luluo and the rest arrived at a beautiful garden. In the middle of the garden, there was a lotus pond. The lotus flowers in the pond were in full bloom, and it was very beautiful. A few lively fish swam in the lotus pond. With just a glance, one could feel the vitality coming from the fish. They had already completely understood human nature. There was a pavilion beside the lotus pond. Inside the pavilion, a young master was sitting at the side, holding a cup of tea and drinking lightly. His movements were elegant and natural, and there were two maids standing beside the pavilion. Both of them were beautiful and beautiful. Su Luluo nodded his head to the supreme sect people behind him. Everyone stopped and waited while he stepped forward. As for Su Yun, he shamelessly followed behind. When the young master saw Su Luluo walking over with lotus steps, the smile on his face became even wider. He did not look at Su Yun, as though he had already ignored him. On the other hand, Su Luluo, who had always been indifferent, had inadvertently tensed up for a moment. This change in expression was extremely fast. If not for Su Yun inadvertently glancing at it, even he would not have noticed it. Luluo had always been calm. Why did he reveal such an expression when he saw this guy? Su Yun was suspicious. He did not understand. The young master laughed and shouted, "Lord Holy Maiden has arrived. Lin, she has not welcomed you. I am ashamed, I am ashamed." "Young Master Lin, today I have been invited by your esteemed pavilion master. Why is it that young master is here, but I do not see the pavilion master?" Su Luluo said indifferently. "About that, my father still has important matters to attend to. I'm afraid he will not be able to receive you for the time being, so he arranged for me to meet you. I hope Lord Holy Maiden will forgive me, forgive me." The young master called Lin. She laughed and said, "Could it be that pavilion master wishes for young master to discuss this matter with my supreme sect?" Su Luluo said indifferently. "Of course." Lin Shi nodded, and continued to welcome him with a smile. "Lord Holy Maiden's purpose of coming here is only to hope that my ancient moon pavilion can help the supreme sect develop, right? This is actually very easy to do. This is completely a small matter. Although Lin Shi is not some great god with heavenly methods, he is still the son of the pavilion master of the ancient moon pavilion. I can definitely make the decision on this small matter. If that's the case, then I have to thank young Master Lin, but I have come here this time, not to ask the ancient moon pavilion to help the supreme sect develop, but to hope that the ancient moon pavilion can help the supreme sect purify the filth of this world, save those lost people from their suffering, reorganize this filthy world, and build a brand new world." Su Luluo said indifferently. I understand. Lin Shi laughed. Su Luluo did not speak anymore. On the other hand, Su Yun, who was at the side, secretly scoffed. He could tell that this guy called Lin Shi was not going to fall for it at all. After all, he had the cultivation of a spirit profound immortal, and immortals were not easy to trick. Immortals were strong, and their temperament was even more astonishing. It was naturally easy for Su Luluo to trick the group of spirit cultivators in the ultimate martial world, but it was not easy to trick immortals here. If it was so easy, Su Luluo would not have gone to the immortal-seeking sect to borrow people time and time again. However, development is development, help is help. These days, everything is done one by one, right? Just then, Lin Shi's tone suddenly changed, and his smile disappeared. Su Luluo raised her gem-like eyes and looked at him. "Young Master Lin, please speak your mind." "Oh, it's not a big deal, Holy Maiden. Don't be too nervous, actually. I have always been thinking, if the ancient moon pavilion and the supreme sect were to merge, what would the result be? Merge? Su Luluo frowned. Could it be that the ancient moon pavilion wants to join the supreme sect? Damn, little sister, you can't really be that naive, right? Such a big, immortal cultivation sect. How could they possibly join your greater one sect? Su Yun muttered to himself, but at the moment, his heart was thumping. He turned his gaze and stared at Lin Shi, waiting for his next words. Lin Shi laughed lightly and shook his head. Joining the Supreme Sect is not really considered. It should be said that the Supreme Sect is joining my ancient moon pavilion. What? Su Liulua's face immediately tensed up. His previous indifferent attitude also showed signs of loosening. Su Yun furrowed his brows. It seems like your esteemed sect does not have the sincerity to help my Supreme Sect build a new world. Su Luluo took a light breath. His voice had already become ice-cold. Holy Maiden, what do you mean by that? I am full of sincerity. Lin Shi suddenly stood up, revealing a warm and brilliant smile. He stared at Su Luluo's flawless and holy face, and said with an extremely magnetic voice, Luluo, please do not reject me. I do not want to annex the Supreme Sect. I only hope that you can become my dual cultivation partner and marry me. This way, regardless of whether it is the Supreme Sect or the Ancient Moon Pavilion, it will be of great help. Hearing that, Su Luluo frowned. Su Yun, who was at the side, almost exploded in anger. So this guy had taken a fancy to his sister? No wonder the pavilion master was nowhere to be seen. It was this guy who was receiving them. So it was premeditated. So this is the main reason why young Master Lin came today? Su Luluo stood up gently, her face revealing an indifferent expression once again. She looked around, then said, The reason why the pavilion master is not here, is it a coincidence? Luluo, don't misunderstand. If the ancient moon pavilion does not have the sincerity to cooperate with my supreme sect, then we can only take our leave for now. If young Master Lin insists on saying something else, I'm afraid that we will not be able to continue discussing today's matter. Su Luluo bowed slightly and was about to turn and leave. Her goal in coming here was to borrow the power of the ancient moon pavilion to help the supreme sect develop. Now that the other party did not plan to do so, what reason did she have to stay? Seeing that, Su Yun also wanted to leave. Unexpectedly, at this time, Lin Shi's attitude suddenly changed, and he shouted, Halt! The two of them stopped. Su Luluo did not even turn his head, and said indifferently, Does young Master Lin have any other instructions? Instructions? Su Luluo, how can you leave just like that? Lin Shi snorted again and again. Could it be that young Master Lin wants to make things difficult for my Supreme Sect? The Supreme Sect has just been established, its foundation is not stable, and its strength is weak. If young Master Lin wants to bully us, we will not be afraid. At the same time, I hope that young Master Lin will consider, if this matter were to spread, what kind of impact will it have on your pavilion? Won't others say that the ancient moon pavilion is bullying the weak? Of course I know that. I don't plan to be rough with any of you. After all, you are too weak. If I were to make a move, it would ruin my wisdom. Lin Shi sneered. But, Su Luluo, you owe me so much, shouldn't you pay me back? Isn't it a little too unreasonable to leave just like that? Chapter 946. Hearing that, Su Yun and Su Luluo frowned. Young Master Lin, what do you mean? Su Luluo said. What do you mean? Lin Shi coldly snorted. You want to establish a new supreme sect and gain a foothold in the immortal world. Do you really think that relying on that useless half-immortal sect, the immortal seeking sect, will be of any use? Do you remember the Imperial Dragon Palace? Your supreme sect absorbed 5 third-stage spirit profound immortal cultivators into your sect, and these 5 spirit profound immortal cultivators are actually disciples of the Imperial Dragon Palace. When the people of the Imperial Dragon Palace found out about this, they immediately sent people to seek justice. If not for my ancient moon pavilion helping you settle this, do you think that the supreme sect would still exist in the immortal world? Hearing that, Su Luluo became silent. As for the Illusory Sea Immortal Sect, although you were the first to discover the crystal mine, the location of the mine was closer to the Illusory Sea Immortal Sect. They wanted to drive you out. If not for our ancient moon pavilion, would your Greater One sect still be able to obtain such rich cultivation resources? The Greater One sect is not a match for the Illusory Sea Immortal Sect. If they really want to fight, I think, even 10 Greater One sect members would not be a match for them. Lin Shi continued. Su Luluo still did not say a word. He only looked at him quietly and listened to him quietly. Lin Shi looked at Su Luluo, a trace of infatuation and greed flashed past his eyes, but he did not reveal it and instead sneered. Other than that, there are many other things, have you forgotten? Su Luluo, you owe my ancient moon pavilion so much. Don't tell me you want to walk away today? Then, according to young Master Lin, what do you wish for us to do? This time, Su Yun, who was at the side, could not hold it in any longer and directly asked. Hearing that, Lin Shi turned his head to look, and only then did he realize the man standing beside Su Luluo. The man was tall and wore a grayish-black cloak. His hair was very long, and only half of his face could be seen. However, the eyes under his hair were abnormally deep. His skin was pale, and his entire person gave off an indescribable sense of sharpness. Especially at his waist, there was actually a huge sword case. No matter how he looked at it, this person did not look like someone from the Supreme Sect. Where did you come from, brat? Lin Shi's attitude changed, and he said indifferently, Holy Maiden Protector. Su Yun cupped his fists. Greetings, young Master Lin. Heh, a mere protector dares to interrupt? Scram! Lin Shi scoffed and said rudely. He had always maintained a disdainful attitude towards such people. Moreover, he did not like the fact that there was another man beside Xian Iran. Young Master Lin, you can't say that. My holy maiden doesn't know how to speak, and I've always been the one to speak for her. Now that she doesn't speak, naturally, as her protector, I have to speak for her, right? Su Yun said. Su Luluo looked at him, but did not say anything. When Lin Shi heard this, he frowned, but it wasn't good for him to act up, so he coldly said, you want to say? Alright, let me hear what you have to say. Let's talk about something simple. Su Yun seemed to have opened the chatterbox, and directly said, Just now, young Master Lin seemed to have said that my supreme sect recruited disciples from other sects, causing the other sects to be dissatisfied, and it was your pavilion that came out to help settle it, right? How could it be fake? Lin Shi snorted. Meddle in other people's business. Su Yun suddenly said, What did you say? Lin Shi seemed to have exploded. He turned his head and glared at Su Yun. Scoundrel, are you insulting my ancient moon pavilion? Can this be called an insult? This is just the truth. Su Yun shrugged his shoulders. The immortal world is a place with laws, with the immortal court restricting the various sects. No matter who it is, they cannot break the rules set by the immortal court, because this rule is recognized by the entire immortal world. I remember that there is a rule in the immortal world that says that immortals can freely join any sect, but the prerequisite is that they have to withdraw from the current sect in advance, although the 5 people that the Supreme Sect recruited were previously from the Dragon Palace, but when they joined the Supreme Sect, they had already withdrawn from the Dragon Palace, and when they entered the Supreme Sect, they had already withdrawn from the Dragon Palace, and when they entered the Supreme Sect, they had their freedom, and the Dragon Palace had no right to interfere, so if they were to make things difficult for the Supreme Sect because of this, the Immortal Court would definitely not sit idly by, and although the Dragon Palace was strong, they could not ignore the law, and the Immortal Court, right? Therefore, nothing would happen to the Supreme Sect, and when the ancient Moon Pavilion stood out, it was only to give the Dragon Palace a way out. Other than that, I don't think there is any other use, let alone making the Supreme Sect owe anything. Su Yun said. You actually dare to say that? Lin Shi was furious. Why wouldn't I dare? At this time, Su Yun spoke again. And the spar mine that young Master Lin mentioned just now, needless to say, the rules of the immortal world are set, the resources belong to the discoverer, and since the Supreme Sect discovered the spar mine first, then the spar mine belongs to the Supreme Sect. If the illusory sea immortal sect dares to expel it, the Supreme Sect can just go to the immortal court and complain. There is no need for the ancient moon pavilion to do anything. Although Su Yun had not been in the immortal world for a long time, he had more or less done some understanding of the immortal world, and the immortal court was what he was most interested in. However, after saying that, Lin Shi was so angry that he laughed. The Supreme Sect is just a small sect that has just developed, the sect is not strong enough, the immortals are few, and the immortal court has yet to recognize them. How can they stand up for them? I think you're thinking too much. Young Master Lin, you are wrong, although the Supreme Sect is not recognized by the immortal court, but that is only a matter of time. Furthermore, the Supreme Sect was developed from the immortal seeking sect. Even if he does not get the recognition of the immortal court, the immortal seeking sect can, right? Su Yun laughed. Why would the immortal seeking sect offend two orthodox immortal cultivation sects for the sake of a small greater one sect? Lin, she said sarcastically. Who says he won't? I said yes. What do you think? Are you going to believe whatever you say? Who do you think you are? I'm the Dharma protector of the immortal seeking sect's sect leader. Su Yun said. Protector of the immortal seeking sect? Lin Shi was stunned. You're also a protector of the immortal seeking sect? That's right. Immortal seeking sect's protector by Li. At the same time, I also have the protection of the Supreme Sect's holy maiden. Su Yun pointed to his face and said, I am a professional protector. He's different from those people. You. Lin Shi was extremely stunned, and she was also trembling with anger. This was the first time he had seen someone like Su Yun who was so shameless that he had nowhere to vent his anger. Young Master Lin, actually, all of this is just your pavilion's wishful thinking. My holy maiden and your pavilion do not owe each other anything. I think we should just forget about this matter. I'm afraid we won't be able to discuss today's matter, so let's not talk anymore, let's part ways here. Su Yun cupped his fists, and then made an inviting gesture towards Su Luluo. Holy maiden, let's go. Su Luluo looked at Su Yun, a trace of confusion flashed past his eyes, but he still nodded and said softly, Yes. The two of them walked out of the pavilion. Lin Shi was furious. He felt that he had been humiliated by Su Yun, and shouted, All of you, stop. What is it? Is there anything else, young Master Lin? Su Yun seemed to know that it would not be easy for him to leave with his mouth, so he immediately turned and asked. Stinking brat, I can't be bothered to waste words with you right now, you are simply twisting words and forcing logic. Today, your Supreme Sect must give me an explanation, if not, none of you can even think of leaving this place. Lin Shi stomped his feet in anger, and a burst of qi immediately erupted from his body. In the end, Lin Shi was the son of the ancient Moon Pavilion's pavilion master. His cultivation was not fake. Su Yun and Su Luluo both felt a burst of pressure, causing them to feel uncomfortable. Su Luluo raised her eyes and looked at Lin Shi. Her clear and bright voice spoke softly. Young Master Lin, what explanation do you want us to give to your pavilion? This. Naturally. That. Lin Shi did not know what to say for a moment, and after a long while, he finally said, My ancient moon pavilion has helped Supreme Sect so much, shouldn't you guys express something? What do you want? Su Yun frowned. He felt that this person called Lin Shi seemed to be planning to be unreasonable. Sure enough, Lin Shi's face changed and immediately shouted, Su Luluo. You must stay in the ancient moon pavilion. Be my dual cultivation partner. Are you trying to steal someone? Without waiting for Su Luluo to speak, Su Yun immediately said angrily. What is it? I am clearly robbing you. What can you do to me? Lin Shi sneered. He did not put Su Yun in his eyes at all. Seems like the ancient moon pavilion can no longer put the immortal court in their eyes. Su Yun snorted. Lord Holy Maiden, you can stay here. I will immediately bring people to the immortal court, and inform the people of the immortal court of young Master Lin's attitude. I believe they will be very happy to see an immortal sect challenge their authority. After all, their days have been too boring these past few years. Yes. Su Luluo nodded lightly. He did not say anything. Lin Shi's face changed. Looking at Su Yun, he realized that he was not joking at all. You bastard! He was so angry that his entire body was trembling. This was the first time he had seen someone who dared to offend the ancient moon pavilion so brazenly. Which one of the others did not try to curry favor with the ancient moon pavilion? Young Master Lin, this is the immortal world, not the myriad heavens. Even if you have monstrous power and are powerful, you cannot be unreasonable. Otherwise, what is the difference between the immortal world and those barbaric realms? Su Yun said indifferently, then immediately pulled Su Luluo's hand and walked out. Su Luluo was startled. He wanted to struggle free from Su Yun's big hand, but realized that the man's hand was tightly grabbing onto him, not letting him go at all. His strength was great, and his footsteps were hurried. Su Luluo was almost pulled out by him. Lin Shi stood at his original position, his eyes wide open as he watched the two of them leave. His eyes had turned red, his chest was rising and falling rapidly, as though he was trying his best to suppress the anger in his heart. Finally, bang! Lin Shi's palm smashed the jade table in the center of the pavilion into pieces. This despicable Bai Li! I must tear him into 10,000 pieces. An angry roar erupted from the side of the lotus pond. Chapter 947. The people from Supreme Sect came quickly and left quickly as well. Su Yun did not let go of Su Luluo's hand along the way, and directly dragged her out of the ancient moon pavilion. I already said, how could the people of the ancient moon pavilion believe in the supreme divine Tao so easily? They tricked you to come here just to deceive you. After exiting the ancient moon pavilion, Su Yun turned his head and stared at Su Luluo seriously. Su Luluo looked at him without any trace of politeness, her snow-white eyes staring straight into the depths of his eyes. After a long while, she said softly, "Can you let go of my hand first?" Ugh. Su Yun was startled. He looked at his own big hand, and immediately let go and laughed awkwardly. Ah ha ha. Sorry about that. I forgot about it. Ah ha ha. Su Luluo retracted his palm without batting an eyelid, and said indifferently, "Protector Bai, although your intentions are good, but you did not do a good job. This sovereign has come here to persuade the ancient moon pavilion to abandon the dark and seek the light, but your words have caused the Supreme Sect and the ancient moon pavilion to be completely in two separate camps." Hearing that, Su Yun's smile froze and said angrily, "So you're saying that you're blaming me? I don't blame you, but I won't be grateful either. Hey, you guys don't believe me when I say that your Supreme Sect is naive. Consider me meddling in other people's business." Su Yun shook his head, but did not explain, because he knew that no matter how much he explained to Su Luluo, it would be a waste of breath, because her mind would only be thinking about the Supreme Divine Tao. No matter how much he said, she would selectively ignore it. Alright, let's not talk about this anymore, let's hurry up and go. Don't think about the ancient moon pavilion, in my opinion. Don't use this method in the future, it will basically not succeed. Immortals are different from ordinary spirit cultivator. You want to use your words to make others obediently join the Supreme Sect? That's not simple. Su Yun took a deep breath and flew forward. Su Luluo looked at him for a while, did not say anything, and followed along. She returned to the palanquin, and the Supreme Sex group flew out at a moderate pace. Although Su Luluo still maintained her indifferent look, Su Yun could tell that she was somewhat disappointed. Su Yun thought for a while, then suddenly turned and entered the sedan chair. The people of Supreme Sect all chose to ignore them. They were instilled with the thoughts of the Supreme Divine Tao. They only obeyed Su Luluo's orders, and ignored everything else. However, just because they did not care about him did not mean that Su Luluo would not care about him. "What are you doing?" Su Luluo's calm voice came out from the sedan chair. Although the sedan chair was luxurious, it was not big. Now that Su Yun had squeezed in, it made the place seem rather narrow. "I'm tired. I want to come in for a rest," Su Yun said shamelessly. Su Luluo frowned. She said softly, "You go out." "Why?" Su Yun glanced to the side, and suddenly smiled strangely. "Could it be that the holy maiden is shy?" "Don't be rude. I'm the saintess." Su Luluo was getting angry. "But I'm also a guardian of the immortal seeking sect. In terms of level, you and I are about the same. This etiquette, I don't think there's a need for that, right?" Su Yun laughed. "I can't outtalk you." Su Luluo frowned and said indifferently. She had witnessed the power of Su Yun's mouth. Su Yun laughed dryly. Right now, he was extremely close to Su Qing'er, so he took advantage of this time to have a good chat with her, and see if there was a chance for her to accept him. He thought for a while and was about to speak again. But just at this moment, the sound of something tearing through the air came out. The voice was extremely soft. If one's cultivation was low, they would not be able to hear it, but Su Yun sensed it immediately. His killing intent rose, his nerves twitched. Without thinking, he immediately extended his hands to hug Su Luluo, and pressed her into his embrace. Dong! 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 A violent explosion sounded out. The gorgeous palanquin exploded, and a circle of destructive aura enveloped Su Yun. The Supreme Sect people guarding the sedan chair were all sent flying. Other than the 4 spirit profound immortal existences, the rest immediately fell to the ground and vomited blood, unable to get up again. Su Yun carried Su Luluo and leaped backwards, retreating out of the explosion zone. Only after he was safe did he release Su Luluo. He looked around, only to see 8 unfamiliar figures in the air. These fellows were dressed in casual clothes, all of them using spells to blur their faces, making it impossible to see their appearances. All of them were filled with killing intent, staring straight at Su Yun. "I can't sense his aura, and I can't see through his cultivation. He must be hiding it on purpose. You guys over there, who are you?" Su Yun asked. However, the immortals did not seem to want to answer Su Yun's question. One of the men immediately bellowed, "Kill everyone else, take that woman away. Quick!" "Yes, sir." The rest of the people replied, and then rushed towards the Supreme Sect. Hearing that, Su Yun snorted, "Kill everyone else and only capture the Holy Maiden? Heh, aren't you guys from the ancient Moon Pavilion? Lin Shi sent you guys, right?" He could be considered ruthless enough. He was afraid of the immortal court and did not dare to make a move directly, so he sent people to act in secret. Although this could not be considered brilliant, it could be considered despicable. Powerful. Amazing. Even though he said that, Su Yun was still shocked. The people from the ancient Moon Pavilion came so quickly, it seemed like Lin Shi could not hold it in at all. The moment these people left, he had already arranged for people to come and kill them. Filthy people should be purified. It seems like the ancient Moon Pavilion is beyond cure. Since that's the case, then prepare to be purified. Su Luluo bellowed. He took out a golden long ribbon and spun it in all directions. The limitless profound chi wrapped around the golden long ribbon. Although the long ribbon looked soft and powerless, when it came into contact with the immortal chi, it could mercilessly devour it. However, Su Luluo was afraid of the limitless profound chi, but the others could not. These immortals were all existences that had just entered the Supreme Sect. Although their thoughts were already completely inclined towards the Supreme Sect, they still did not know how to use the limitless profound chi. Facing the experts from the ancient Moon Pavilion, they could not hold on for long and were defeated. 2 immortals rushed towards Su Luluo, while Su Yun had to deal with 3 of them. Although Su Luluo had the limitless profound chi, it was extremely strenuous for her to fight. Most of her magic treasure came from the immortal seeking sect, so it could not be considered strong, but luckily the other party did not plan to kill her, and only wanted to capture her alive. On the other hand, Su Yun was completely different. He had almost completely abandoned his defense, raised his death sword, and crazily slashed. Even when facing 3 immortals, he was still able to perform with ease. When the immortal technique was added to his body, it was actually unable to cause him the slightest bit of damage. What's wrong with this person? Why can't I kill him? He must have a divine object protecting him, be careful. The 3 immortals cried out in alarm, their faces filled with shock. Su Yun turned his head, stared at one of the immortals, and forcefully activated the fleeting shadow art. In an instant, one of the immortals stopped. He looked around, his eyes filled with confusion and doubt. His expression was extremely strange. The other 2 immortals were startled, but they saw Su Yun raising his sword and rushing towards the immortal, but the immortal turned a blind eye, as though he did not see Su Yun rushing over. "Be careful! Get out of the way!" The 2 of them shouted anxiously. The immortal was startled. He turned his head and looked at the 2 of them suspiciously, but just at this time, Su Yun's death sword had already approached. The pitch-black death sword fiercely slashed at the immortal's neck. Filled with divine power, it tore apart the immortal chi around his body. The death sword was like a hot knife through butter, directly cutting open his neck, blood gushing out like a fountain. The immortal's body swayed a few times, and then directly fell down. Chapter 948. Why resist? Why reject? Isn't it better to obediently follow young Master Lin than to stay in that crappy Supreme Sect? An immortal looked at Su Luluo, whose face was pale, but he still maintained his indifferent attitude, snorted and said. It was just that his words had no effect on Su Luluo. Even if Su Luluo could not hold on any longer, she would not reveal much fear. This was the Supreme Sect. Even if they died, as long as their faith remained, they would not feel fear. Although it looked great, Su Yun did not like this kind of faith at all. Surrender obediently. A female immortal bellowed. She raised her sword and directly struck towards Su Luluo's abdomen, intending to heavily injure him and bring him back to the ancient Moon Pavilion. The immortal chi on the sword was like a silver river that descended. It had an imposing manner that could break through the heavens and earth. Su Luluo could not face it head-on. She snorted secretly, her indifferent face revealing a trace of seriousness, as though she wanted to try and block the attack. But just as she was about to defend herself, a figure suddenly appeared in front of her. Su Luluo's gem-like eyes revealed a hint of astonishment. Crash! The sharp sword attacked, but the immortal chi on top of it seemed to have collapsed. It instantly dispersed and disappeared without a trace. When the sword smashed onto the figure, it no longer had any power. This person was Su Yun. What? The immortal's face was filled with shock, as though he could not believe what he had just seen. Su Yun, who was dressed in a pitch-black cloak, stared straight at the spirit cultivator in front of him, his face filled with endless killing intent. He raised his sword and smashed forward. The death sword was like a ferocious beast, fiercely smashing onto her shoulder. Bang! The immortal was sent flying. What's going on? The rest of the immortals could not believe their eyes. Although this person's cultivation cannot be seen through, his chi is still only profound chi. It is enough to show that he is at most at the spirit sage level, but how can he fight against immortals? And to be able to defeat immortals so easily? All of them looked at Su Yun with serious expressions. They knew that the strength of this so-called Holy Maiden Protector was far more difficult than they had imagined. It would be a huge mistake to measure his strength based on his cultivation level. Su Yun was not willing to waste any time. He had already gone all out. He pushed the divine power of the Imperial Battle Robe to the limit and rushed towards the immortals. After killing 1 or 2 immortals, these fellows realized that as long as they got close to Su Yun, their immortal chi would dissipate at an astonishing speed. Thus, everyone decided to distance themselves from Su Yun and fight, but they did not know that Su Yun's yin-yang manifestation art and fleeting shadow art were their nemesis. Unknowingly, they would be dragged into an illusion, or perhaps they would forget about Su Yun's existence. Although Su Yun's cultivation was not strong, he was more experienced than any of the immortals here. His entire cultivation process was practically a battle process, and the time he spent quietly meditating was far less than the time he spent fighting with blades and fire. In terms of battle skills and experience, these immortals were like children. Very quickly, all the immortals were killed, but Su Yun, who had absorbed a large amount of immortal chi, was still full of energy and immortal power. He didn't spare a single immortal soul, and devoured them all. Today, he had to kill all these immortals. Previously, when he went to Big Ling Long to steal the Ling Long rainbow, it caused Palace Mistress Ling Long to start investigating him. If the news of today's battle were to spread, Palace Mistress Ling Long would definitely suspect that he was the one who stole the Ling Long rainbow. If that was the case, Su Yun would be in trouble. In order to not expose his identity, Su Yun could only choose to cut the weeds and eliminate the root. The battle was finally over. After collecting the immortal equipment and relics of the immortals, Su Yun dragged the astonished and pale Su Luluo and ran towards the immortal seeking sect. His speed was so fast that even Su Luluo could not keep up, and his breathing became hurried. You shouldn't have killed them. This way, the ancient Moon Pavilion will hold a grudge, and they will become a problem for the Sacred Greater One sect. Just then, Su Luluo spoke. I have no choice but to kill them, but you don't have to worry. The ancient Moon Pavilion will not brazenly find trouble with the Supreme Sect. With the restrictions of the Immortal Court, no immortal sect can act recklessly. If the ancient Moon Pavilion wants to find them, they will do so in secret. You just need to be on guard. Su Yun turned his head and said indifferently, in this period of time, don't return to the Supreme Sect, just stay in the Immortal Seeking Sect. Although the Immortal Seeking Sect is only a half-immortal sect, but there are many experts. No matter how arrogant the ancient Moon Pavilion is, they would not dare to be impudent there. No, I still have a heavy responsibility. I can't stay in the Immortal Seeking Sect for too long. Su Luluo shook his head and rejected. Unexpectedly, just as she said that, Su Yun suddenly stopped in his tracks. Su Luluo was startled. He floated in place and looked at him. He slowly turned around and stared at her with his sword-like eyes. His pitch-black pupils were like a deep well, extremely deep. His eyes revealed dignity, anger, helplessness, and anger. For some reason, Su Luluo realized that he was actually a little afraid of this person's eyes. Suddenly, he leaned over and stared straight at Su Luluo. Su Luluo panicked and could not help but retreat a little. Chapter 949. How would these two immortals dare to disobey Shangguan Qingqing's words? He immediately left 2 of them alive and brought them to Shangguan Qingqing. Shangguan Qingqing walked in front of the 2 demons with a serious look on her face. She stared at them indifferently with her bright eyes. Who are you? Shangguan Qingqing asked in a low voice. Don't kill us, please don't kill us. We are only following orders. One of the demons laid on the ground and shouted with all his might. His voice was filled with tears, and he looked extremely miserable. However, all of this was ignored by Shangguan Qingqing. Demons were not evil. Demons were cunning and full of tricks. In order to survive, they would do anything. Plus, demons were born actors. You would never know if they were sincere to you or not. You would never know what they were thinking in their heart. If you are willing to answer my questions honestly, I promise not to kill you, Shangguan Qingqing said coldly. The two demons looked at each other and quickly nodded. They said in unison, "Lady, please ask your questions. We will tell you everything we know." "Alright, then let me ask you. Who are you? Where are you from?" Shangguan Qingqing said indifferently. "We are from the true demon realm. We are demons from the 5 Moons Cave." The two demons lowered their heads and said weakly, 5 Moons Cave." Shangguan Qingqing's expression changed. "I've heard of it. It seems to be one of the top 10 demon Dao factions in the true demon realm." The male immortal at the side said, "That's right." The female immortal nodded. "Today, if it wasn't for the two immortals here, the Divine Cloud Immortal Palace would not have been able to escape this calamity. These demons had monstrous strength and powerful methods. Ordinary people wouldn't be able to fight against them. The Divine Cloud Immortal Palace's cultivators weren't strong. Even an elder of the immortal demon realm was defeated by a little demon from the demon realm, not to mention the true demon realm." Shangguan Qingqing's expression was extremely ugly. The top 10 demon Dao factions of the true demon realm. They should be considered as the top forces of the true demon realm. However, such existences had descended here. Was this not a sign? "What are you doing here?" Shangguan Qingqing asked again. However, this time, his voice was clearly weak. The two monsters hesitated. The man raised his sword and placed it on the demon's neck. "If you can't tell us, then we can only kill you. We don't need worthless captives." The male immortal's voice was ice-cold. Don't kill us. I'll tell you everything." The two demons trembled in fear, their bodies shaking non-stop. The two demons were not so cowardly, but after seeing these two immortals kill demons as easily as slaughtering pigs and dogs, they developed a natural fear of these two. "I have some friendship with this person, so I used the excuse of drinking to get a few words from him," it said. It said that the two of them took in 2 little spirit demons that escaped from the spirit demon realm, and these 2 little spirit demons provided him with an incredible piece of information. That's why he was rewarded, and I guessed that this trip to the Sky Martial Continent must have something to do with that information. What exactly is that information? I really don't know, Empress. That friend of mine refused to tell me no matter what. He only said, this matter concerns the future of the 5 Moon Cave, and cannot be spread out. You still won't tell me the truth? The male immortal started to scare the 2 spirit demons again. However, the 2 spirit demons could not give a reason, and presumably, that was all they knew. Shangguan Qingqing thought for a while. Her eyebrows were tightly locked together. After a long while, she said, "You still haven't answered me. Why do you have Qing Er's appearance?" "Empress, my friend also said that this news came from a person that was eaten by the little spirit demon, because the little spirit demon had cultivated a soul essence technique. When it devoured the soul of a spirit cultivator, it could see through the soul that it devoured, and see what happened in the soul for 7 days. So I guessed that this young lady's appearance was most likely seen by the little spirit demon through the soul. Is that so?" Shangguan Qingqing became silent again. This time, she did not speak for a long time, only lowering her head. No one knew what she was thinking. The people at the side did not dare to disturb her. The 2 little spirit demons quietly raised their eyes and looked at Shangguan Qingqing, their hearts extremely perturbed. After a long time, cripple their cultivation, erase their memories, and beat them back to their original forms. Throw them into the wilderness, Shangguan Qingqing said. Hearing that, the two spirit demons' faces changed. Ah! Empress, please have mercy, please have mercy! Empress, this, without our cultivation, we'd rather die. Then you want to die? No, no. But, I know that you have cultivated for hundreds and thousands of years, and experienced opportunities to reach where you are today, but what you have done this time has too much of an impact. I even want to directly kill you, but I am the palace master of the divine cloud immortal palace. Since I have said it, I cannot go back on my word. No matter what, I will not kill you. But you must accept this punishment. As long as you are alive, you can still cultivate back. Understand? Empress, please have mercy. The two spirit demons cried and begged for mercy. However, Shangguan Qingqing had already made up her mind. Su Yun frowned. Their disguise comes from the effect of the magic tools, and it is not easy for the immortals to discover their disguise. However, once they die, the magic tools will not be able to last for long, and at that time, their disguise will also disappear, and their true bodies will definitely be exposed. That's right. Standing Demon nodded, a trace of panic appearing in his eyes. This time, the sixth group has found an extremely large group of resources. This group of resources is extremely shocking. If my true devil sect obtains it, I am afraid that within a few years, the overall strength of the sect will increase by several times. However, just as the sixth group sent the news to the sect, another message was sent. Another group of immortals found the resource group. They wanted to drive us away, but the people from the sixth group did not agree, so they were killed. Right now, we have already sent a few teams over, hoping to retrieve the corpses before their disguise disappears. Standing Demon Dao. Although resources are good, we can't bring about a fatal disaster. If we can expose our identities, we can give up on this resource group. But if the other party refuses to return the corpse, the situation will be different. Su Yun bellowed. Standing Demon, quickly go and inform Elder Yuan Mo, tell him to immediately gather his men. We will immediately rush to the resource group, and see if we can salvage the situation. Yes, Lord Demon Lord. Standing Demon cupped his fists and immediately went to make the arrangements. Not long after, a group of immortal seeking sect disciples formed by Devil Cultivator gathered in front of the sect. Su Yun, who was dressed in gray and black clothes, flew out and floated in the air. He glanced at the people in front of him. There were a total of 10,000 people here. All of them were experts of the true devil sect. Although none of them had the cultivation of spirit sage, they could still be considered a force. The round demon was leading the team, and he would also go this time. Su Yun did not plan to let them fight with the immortals. Although these people were the elites of the true devil sect, they were unable to contend against the immortals. The reason why Su Yun let them go was firstly to show off his might, and secondly, he hoped that they would be able to come into contact with such a scene. Su Yun waved his hand and turned around. With Standing Demon leading the way, these 10,000 people flew out of the immortal seeking sect in a grandiose manner. The location of the resource grounds was rather far away, but Su Yun and the rest rushed over without stopping. Along the way they met many immortals, but Su Yun ignored them all. Even if some of the immortals had a good relationship with the immortal seeking sect, he did not bother with them. Right now, the most important thing was the corpses of the dead devil cultivator. Their identities must not be exposed. Very quickly, this group of people from the immortal seeking sect arrived at the newly discovered resource grounds in a majestic manner. This was an extremely remote sky, surrounded by thick clouds, but there was plenty of light and no immortals could be seen. However, above the clouds there were a large number of crystals, and under the illumination of the light, these crystals emitted a strange light, which was especially brilliant. Lord Demon, Lord, this way! Standing Demon called out in a low voice and rushed into the clouds. After the time it took for an incense stick to burn, they finally saw the so-called resource ground. It was a vast and boundless land of clouds, and above the clouds there were countless crystals densely packed, and these crystals were denser and more spiritual than the crystals outside. It was obvious that these crystals were filled with powerful energy, and would definitely be able to help immortals cultivate. However, what was especially glaring was that in the midst of these crystals, there were many corpses lying in disorder. These corpses had just died, their souls had been destroyed, and their corpses had already begun to rot. Their clothes were the clothes of the immortal seeking sect, but Su Yun knew that these people were all his people, all devil cultivator. Who are you people? At this moment, an angry shout came from afar, and dozens of people suddenly appeared in front of them. Su Yun suppressed the anger in his heart and looked towards the source of the voice. I am the sect leader of the immortal seeking sect. Who are you people? Su Yun bellowed with a dark face. Sect leader of the immortal seeking sect? Those people were obviously surprised. They all sized up Su Yun, and all of them revealed a strange chuckle at the same time. The immortal seeking sect is indeed a half-immortal sect. The disciples are so clumsy, the sect leader is also so unbearable. Hee. This kind of guy is suitable to go to the ultimate martial world to develop. Why did he come to the immortal world? Yeah, maybe he used some connections to enter the immortal world. After all, there are quite a few people who entered the immortal world like this. The immortal world is a place where only spirit-profound immortals can stand. Here, even Spirit Sage has to hide. Many people don't even have the slightest bit of self-awareness. It's just a group of ants. Those people laughed and said, all of them mocking and ridiculing Su Yun, not taking him seriously at all. Su Yun took a deep breath, seeing that the other party did not have the intention to answer him. He said again in a low voice, I have already heard about what happened. No matter who is right or wrong, this resource land, since your sect wants it, then take it. I only hope to be able to retrieve the corpses of the sect members. What do you all think? Retrieve the corpses. Everyone looked at each other, and then turned to look at the corpses of the immortal seeking sect disciples. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.